Wonderful. My one that's in the OSU band, senior this year. So we got like, I think it's 7 games that's out of out there, but maybe it's what I do.
No,
He's all right.
We can just change that.
just the wording on that in the minutes.
It's just different connotations.
And he's real tall. It's like usually funny. Even if it's like, they're usually fine.
Right, the same thing.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, very, very, very nice. They
okay,
just chose this. movie.
all right, I think we are good to go.
All right, you just tell me about it.
Yeah.
There were just two things.
I'll give this to you.
I'm gonna go ahead and give it.
I put 2 extra. You don't do really well. You need to talk about that at least.
All right, we're being live streamed, Chairman.
Very good, thank you.
Wanna start?
I think we'll start. Mrs. Bozian has a long. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome to the August 14, 2024 regular meeting of the Washington County Board of Elections. I notice we have a number of folks from the public. And this is our time for public comment. I would ask if you would try to keep your comments as succinct and short as possible, simply because we have a large agenda. And so we have a lot of things that we have to work our way through. So the way this works best, I think you've signed in, but and all of us are going to know some, probably not all, but the record will know no one. So if you'd be so kind as to speak first by telling us your name and then whatever else. You don't have to stand up. You can sit, you can stand, whatever makes you comfortable. Start over in the corner here. Did you want to make a comment? And if you did, please identify yourself by name.
Waterville, Ohio. Really don't have anything to comment yet. I just want to see what transpired during the meeting, but I'll do want to ask you as a public citizen to remember your pledge to the flag and to the country and represent us as a republic.
All right. Well, thank you. The gentleman next to.
Mark Downs, I don't have any questions at this point in time, just want to see where everything goes here.
I don't have any comments or questions yet.
Kevin Morris. I got a few questions.
Well, this is public comment, so I'm not sure we're going to answer all the questions.
Well, you guys kind of run this, so I think you ought to be able to at least give us the courtesy to answer some questions.
Well, we'll see.
Okay. We talked about no ink and we talked about some of the other vulnerabilities in our system. What services does RBM do? You brought him up at the last meeting and it was something I never even looked at, so you brought it up. RBM, what percentage of everything that they do in our election are they involved in?
We actually have the gentleman who introduced us to RBM, actually is RBM. And so forth.
What's your name?
Todd Mullen.
Todd Mullen?
Yeah.
What's your position with it?
I'm a partner.
You're a partner? Okay. So RVM, they control pretty much everything. They do absentee ballots, they do the whole works.
No, we don't control anything. We assist the county in operating the system that they bought. We help them when needed to do coding, which is laying out the ballots. We do print the ballots when the final ballot's done. We do the printing of the ballots. And we help with poll worker training, and we help with election night support.
And then you typically help with the audit.
Yes, and then the audit.
Present for the audit.
Yes,
So you're in here, now you work on the machines and everything?
yes.
There's service days, I mean, there's what, a couple of service days is about $20,000.
No, that's not right, but we do the maintenance on the equipment.
So, okay, with that, is there a red key and a blue key in the room at all time?
You're talking about an R and a D?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's somebody in the room with them all the time and they're servicing the equipment.
as best we can, or they're looking in. Because again, we only have 4 people to run an election. And again, I'll just remind you that other counties our size have as many as 8 and 9 employees as opposed to our 4. Because that's what we've been budgeted for, and that's what the citizens of the county want us to have.
So do you guys do background checks on them?
No, we don't do the background.
Well, yeah, they
check,
do background.
But they are mandatory background checks that are conducted, and we have to go through them as well. And usually it starts by going to the Washington County Sheriff, and then they utilize a number of other agencies. I wouldn't want to speak for the sheriff, but it seems to me the FBI is involved, et cetera. And that includes people that are, that we contract with. We have to see that they have certificates, et cetera, indicating that they've likewise been vetted by the FBI or their sheriff or a combination. BCI and I in Ohio was used. That's a Bureau of Criminal Investigation and Identification in London, Ohio. So
It's another
in the
vulnerability.
last probably 5 or 10 years, the security is ramped up 20-fold.
But you don't have, you guys yourselves don't do background checks on them.
No, how would I do that? I mean, I'd be in,
If they could be in a room with the machines by themselves, they ought to be checked out.
they are.
They are.
You just didn't hear
You
me.
just said the
I
company
just
does their
don't
check
do the
out.
work. I
They
actually give it
certify
to
to
somebody.
us the results of the background check.
Who's Triad GSI?
Who's what?
Triad,
Triad, they're a
Yes.
voter registration vendor.
Right.
that's what are they, voter registration?
They have the software that we keep all of our voter information.
Have you guys ever seen this document for verified voting? It's got a Belfry ballot in the document. It says on here that they voters access the available ballot marking tool via a link emailed to them from the County Board of Elections. A county can also email an HTML file to an eligible voter. The voter opens the HTML file, follows the link to the preferred browser, and disconnect from the internet to mark their ballot if needed. A voter can use the assistant technology. Is that something you guys use?
Yes, we're required to have that.
So you can email a ballot to somebody.
If they request it, they have to attest under 5th degree felony that they are disabled and require a ballot in that.
Where's the chain of custody in that? That's on the open internet.
It's not on an open internet. It's sent to them via email.
It says they can use the interactive.
Right, that's emailed to them.
So you're emailing ballots to people. So I'm just
Which is
looking at
required
this,
by law for us to do that.
but I'm looking at the vulnerabilities. Okay, that's why we're
That's
talking about.
something you would have to
email
talk
ballots.
to the state about. We're required to do that, and so we have to do that, whether we think it would be vulnerable or not.
I had no idea you could email ballots to people. I thought you had to mail them. They had to request them.
They do have to request them.
But you can
This
email
person
them.
emailed has to request them as well. There's an application that they have to fill in, as I said, attesting under 5th degree felony that they are disabled.
You know who's Todd Rapp?
There's a Brett Rapp that works for Triad, but I don't know a Todd Rapp.
Todd Rapp started the company. You know, Todd Rapp is the one that started that. You know, you remember the Hanging Chads in Florida?
I do
Back in the
remember
2000
hearing
election.
about it.
I think Dennis brought that up in here. The Hanging Chads, that was his. He was the one responsible for that. Brett Rapp's his family. Todd Rapp, there's sworn testimony, and I'll give that to you too. Sworn testimony in here against him in Hocking County, Monroe County. I think there's another county where he provided cheat sheets to them to help them through the recounts. And you guys are doing business with them.
Right, they do provide us instructions on how to use their software. I don't know if
But
you want to
you're
call
doing
it a
business
cheat
with them.
sheet.
Yeah, we are.
So we're about 70 other counties in the state of Ohio.
Do you have anything else you want to share?
Yeah, I'm not done.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, well, you know, the vendors that we use have gone through a vetting system through the state of Ohio. So we don't just like grab these people out of the air. These are from a list of certified vendors that we are allowed to utilize. So, you know, they've already gone through all the vetting by the state of Ohio, and we process and provide things like email according to state regulations. And so if you've got a problem with this, you have to deal with the state. It is not us.
But the state tells us we gotta come to the county board meetings when we have questions on it.
Well, sure. And so we can answer questions about things that we have control over, but some things we don't have control over. And that would be one of them. If the state says we have to email, we email. If the state says this is the list of vendors, that's who we choose from.
I asked for a copy of the certification of the machines and you guys said, oh, you gotta call the state. Do you have a copy of the certification? You have the certification of the machines.
I don't have that right here now.
You don't have it in this building, in the election office. You do not have
It
it.
may be in our records, but I don't have it right here with me.
The EAC certifications.
Right,
They're all up to date.
yeah.
How about Runback? What does Runback do for us?
We print or they provide us printers that we print our ballots that we mail out to voters.
Do you
Or
know,
if someone requests a paper in the office,
do you know Runback's in a RICO lawsuit right now in Arizona?
I do not.
See, you guys have no clue of this stuff. We're bringing it to you and Dennis just keep trying to shove us off and make it short. Runback's.
How is that affecting us here in Ohio?
You're using the company in Washington County. You're using Triad in Washington County.
Yes,
Okay, there's sworn testimony against them.
Again,
What is
you
that
make these
testimony?
claims, and I'm certain there's probably a RICO going on, but the last time I looked, and I've only been a lawyer for over 50 years, people are innocent until proven guilty. And you mentioned RICO, that'd be a racketeering charge of some sort. You haven't mentioned whether it was civil or criminal. You haven't mentioned that the lawsuit is completed. I mean, as you know, I can just tell you, the government has a lot of power to charge people with crime.
Here's
And
a,
that doesn't mean they're guilty because someone has accused them of something. I'll wait until the courts are done. And then I'm certain the Secretary of State watches all of that. They do for a living in part. And if they were to say, hey, we can no longer use these people because of this, that, or the other thing, then obviously we're going to do what we're told by our boss, our employer, whatever you want to call it.
your election vendor was in here a couple months ago and said right out that they actually supply machines that they can change the election clerks can change the votes. He admitted that. He said it's probably not in Ohio, but they're doing it. And so
I don't remember him
that's,
saying that.
Well, if he did, it'll be of record. And again, do you have something else?
yeah.
That
So
sounds like
does
stuff we
does RBM or anybody else have access to the security and everything that's going on in here? Do they have access to the website? What all access do they have? How far do they go into the system?
They help us code our ballots, they help us with the election night support. And they help us do our testing of the machines, the maintenance on the machines.
All worker training.
That's all they,
Do they have access remotely to any computer in this office?
no.
No,
No,
Do they help, they help with the absentee ballots?
And they only help with the any printing of that. That's all they do.
Why do we spend so much money on no-wake poll pads?
Because that's how much they
Cost.
cost.
You sold some for $500 to Athens County or something?
No,
It was in the minutes. You sold used no-wake poll pads to another county.
Did we
no, we
give
didn't.
away boxes?
we turned them in.
We turned in some for recycling.
We got some credit for recycling.
Well, I'll have to
We
get
got a
back to the
credit.
minutes, but
We
somewhere in
didn't sell
there.
any to another county.
So we, for the money we spend, we spend so much money on these elections, 186,000 just in 23, just with 4 companies, No Wink, RBM, Triad, and Runback. $186,000. You don't think we could run the elections with a hand count ballot with that kind of money?
No.
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 Have you done it before? Have you done hand count ballots here?
No.
In audits we had,
Yeah.
in audits we had.
Real small
But not a whole
elections where you
election.
have, it's all write-in, you're gonna hand count.
So does the, RBI, I think, when they run them ballots through, does it read the actual names that's on the ballots, or does it read the barcode at the bottom?
no, it reads the absence or presence of a mark in the oval.
There's no oval here. This
Yes,
is all,
there is.
this is all computerized. When you run that into the next machine and it reads them where it says who you voted for, does it read those names specifically to count them up, or does it read a barcode?
I think he's talking about
The slip.
The freedom vote ballot,
Yeah.
on the freedom vote ballot, it reads the barcode.
It reads a barcode. So when you do a hand count, you're not counting the barcode. You're not. you can't-
No,
you
we're
can't-
counting the votes that are on that authority or their ballot marking sheet.
On the-
read
It's the
those?
ballot itself.
Yeah, the ballot
It
itself.
images the ballot.
It images the ballot.
So you can see.
So
the
we don't
actual
read, I don't
physical
have the
ballot.
capability of reading a barcode. I have to
So why
specifically,
are we reading a barcode when you don't have the capability to read it? There could be.
because the vote is on that same slip.
Then why put the names on it if you're reading a barcode?
Because you're
He
verifying.
reads the
I'm
barcode.
just saying it's a
Because
vulnerability.
when we count it, we
It's a-
need to be able to read the names. So we verify by looking at the ballot with the names and adding up those counts to see if it matches what the barcode said.
And the voter, every voter.
Right.
Can confirm that the ballot is marked as they chose. So when it prints it out, I
They're looking at
voted
it.
for X, I voted for Y, yep, we're good to go. We'll put it in a tabulator.
And then when we do,
Every single ballot.
everyone, and when
So
we
you-
do the audit, we look at the names and we count the actual votes.
So you physically, when you hand count every single ballot by the name that's on there.
When we do the
During
certain
the
audits.
audit
Yes,
process.
You read the names.
yes.
Yeah,
But you don't run it through another machine.
No,
No.
well,
we've
in the
already got
Because it's already
that.
written.
history of
machine, we
mankind,
don't
have
have
we
to run
then
it
run
back
them back through again on another machine? Yeah.
Why do
I mean,
we
we
have
can
so,
do that.
why do we have so many issues? I mean, so many different problems in the election process when you can do a hand count
We have
ballot.
no
We
problem.
don't, we don't.
We don't.
We don't have problems
We've ran
here.
3 elections in the last 3 years and they've all come out exactly as people
100%.
voted.
5%.
100%.
5%. That's all you're read on. That's all you're recounting.
Random.
That's all we're
Right, but it
required
is
to
random
do.
and it comes out 100% every time.
And it's,
And if you don't do it
And we have to
randomly,
reason that
5%, and you do everything, then it's more subject to tampering and errors.
How do you do it randomly? Who picks it out of a hat?
One of
He
us.
usually.
And out of the box, just, we have
She's
them
got a
all in
special
there
touch.
and pull them out.
we've just had a long history of picking one person to do it, and Mrs. Ritter's been kind enough to do it. Quite frankly, again, anyone could do it. We are all present. It's done right here. You could be here and witness it if you so desired. And we go through and we're looking for a total number based on, what we're, the number that we're looking for. So let's say that when you get all the votes, and you then take the percentage, we start looking and we get this voting location, or this precinct, this, And if we get over that number, whether it's over by 1 or over by 1,100, that's when we're over, we stop. Then we're going to count those and look at the names and make sure that it's identical to what we reported.
And it's
And
done by
if it's
Republican.
not, and I told you long ago, when we were just using paper ballots but scanning them, it took the staff a long time to find one ballot that threw our number off. And I think I explained to you that it turned out to be an issue of humidity of all things. And it just swelled up the mark because the voter, God bless them, did not follow the instructions and darken the oval. They traced the oval. And so on a humid day, the black spot was a little bigger and the machine said it existed. The laser when it was running through. When it was a dry day, it said there was no vote in the oval. One ballot, and I've been doing this since 07.
I think one
And
ballot,
that took quite a while to find it, but we found it, ran it through, hand counted, and it came out, again, we just took the voters' intent, that is when they circled the oval, because they did it for every candidate, not just one. And they were selecting only one that, versus, there are a couple of races where you could get the top 2 vote getters so people could vote for more than one. They circled them. We said that was their intent. So it was obvious they wanted to vote for these people. They just didn't understand darken the oval. They thought that means trace the oval.
so, we were talking about RBM, and I brought up Dominion there in the last couple of meetings, and you kept saying, we don't use Dominion, so you can't use it. Well, the 3 top guys at RBM work for ES&S. ES&S and Dominion's all tied together, Sequoia, that goes clear back to Diebold. So you've got issues there.
Well,
I'm just saying vulnerabilities.
I get you got a vulnerability. It's a good word. And so we therefore follow the Ohio law to the T. And that's your legislators, and they represent you. So you have told us to do it this way.
Well, you don't represent us too.
And if you don't like what your legislator said, we have a wonderful system that allows you to correct that.
Well, you're excited because it's a wonderful system. You just won 2 elections last time, and your husband's up for another election this time. I don't understand how you guys can sit here and say that there's no vulnerability there when all you're doing is taking the reliability of whatever they're saying. And these election machines, people don't vote because of them. They don't trust them. CrowdStrike just got hacked. CrowdStrike's the leader in election security in the country. CrowdStrike just got hacked. It shut machines down during the votes out in Arizona and some of these other places. So there's a security issue right there with CrowdStrike. It's the largest security for the machines. Is that right?
No, it's not.
Who's the largest security?
I do not know.
CrowdStrike is not on the voting machines. That software is not on the voting machines. The voting machines are not connected to the internet.
Oh, I said 20,000. It was about 22,000 for 2 service days.
That's
So-
incorrect.
What's that?
That's incorrect.
That was for more than 2 service days.
Right here, it says RBM 2 service days, $21,937.
That's incorrect.
Why is it incorrect?
Your minutes need
It's in the
corrected.
minutes.
Then we need to correct our minutes.
Throughout the minutes.
If it's.
What meeting was that?
I don't know. It was May of May of this year, yeah. RBM 2 service days, 21,937.
And I don't know exactly what that line item
Is that,
Well,
yeah,
you guys got paid last in 23, $72,400 in 23.
For what?
Services. I don't know what all you do. Let's see, upgrading to,
Mandy just told you what all they do,
Right.
so.
Those charges would have been for all those different things, training, coding, the election day support, LNA testing, possibly poll worker training.
I'm not seeing anything on their poll worker training, annual hardware maintenance. There's some paper rolls, fixed ballots. Yes, I don't know. I think we could do this at a local level and save a lot of money and get rid of all these vulnerabilities out there. You know, Elon Musk just did an interview with
I
last
don't
night.
want to hear more about Mr.
You know, it got
I've
hacked.
already read about
It
it.
got hacked. There's a guy that owns X, the whole platform, and it got hacked.
Yeah.
So you don't think the machines could get hacked?
No,
Well-
because they're not connected to the internet.
You seem to.
There is no
We're
access.
just
Nobody
telling
has
you,
access
they're
to
not
the
hooked up to the
machines.
internet, so the hacking has to come some other, by that, some other method.
Your rep sit here and said in the meeting that they have machines capable of hooking to the internet. He said that in here. You all sit here.
I don't know what other machines they have. I suspect the guy carries a phone with it. That's hooked up to the internet, I'm told. Right now, mine's quiet, thankfully.
All right, I'm up that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Madam?
Hey, Dennis,
Dennis,
I've
Todd's
got
got
one
something.
comment.
Oh,
That election support days, that's not two, how do you understand that that's 2 days?
That's what was in the.
that was back in May. you're
Back in
talking
May.
about. Not today.
I have them all right here printed out and highlighted.
That is
Okay.
for multiple days.
Excuse me.
That is for multiple days, it's not for 2.
Well, you guys need to correct your minutes then.
That's what she's going to check.
And also, I'd like to have this stuff all added in the minutes. And please, do the courtesy of us to at least put discussion of what we bring up in these meetings in the minutes. Because when you hide from that, we have nothing to go back on. So I'd like to have all those files. I asked for them to be put in the minutes, and you said that they would, and there's nothing to mention. It says there's attachments. I don't even know if you put anything in this month's minutes. I didn't read them. I wanted this stuff in the minutes. So if this comes out, and these election machines are proven, then we can come back and start pointing fingers. Say, we tried to come in here and you never looked into it. There's no place in your minutes that says you had any discussion on what we talked about.
Yes, I believe the minutes that we're about to approve does have discussion of you and that we did read the information, we talked to you. I'm unsure of the fact that we can incorporate external documents from other individuals into our official minutes, okay? So I don't know whether that's even permitted.
Why would it not be?
We did, we do have documentation. You also have the documentation. Within the minutes, we acknowledge the fact that we received them. This is being recorded. We have received them. I've been reviewing them, okay? I'm not ignoring you. But as far as us incorporating them into our official minutes, I'm not sure we're permitted to do that.
I will tell you, I just asked Mrs. Amos to contact the prosecutor's office and see if that is something that we can do, attach those. Trust me, we have them.
Yeah.
And again, I read them from stem to stern. We have to.
Karen,
Oh,
this
you got
is
another.
the agenda from May 8th, and these are the minutes from May 8th. We paid you already.
Well,
Willie.
yeah, 319 and 611 service,
How much was it?
21,937. and
But it doesn't
50 cents.
specify the days.
Or, no, it doesn't say in the minutes.
Well,
That's what they were saying in the minutes, not.
Is it election days?
well,
Yeah,
here
it says
again,
election
I think
days,
it's
yeah.
got the same dates.
But I don't know if it was somewhere in the minute.
No, I think I understand what he's saying. If you look at that, it looks like days. As opposed to potentially 2 series of days.
Do you want, I'll show that to Todd.
Just for clarification, those are the days of the election, correct?
For the election dates,
Yes, so they're the election days, there's
Right.
services related to both two election days.
Right, both elections. I mean, it doesn't. It
It just says, yeah, it just says service days.
Okay,
And what's here.
moving on. I passed by.
No, Ted Sabo, Marietta, I don't have any questions. I'm Annette Scoy, Marietta. I don't have any questions right now.
Betsy Cook, Marietta, and I appreciate your comments. And I appreciate everyone listening, and it's in the minutes. We can't assume that computers are doing all the work. It's the people who run the computers often that made mistakes or something. So we have to question those things, and I think we've had a very good history of having election results that came out. We have had no court cases, and I don't think the United States has really had court cases that have been proven where there has been fraud. So, but it's good to question it, and we need to keep doing that, and I appreciate all your work there. And that's what we're here for, is to make sure everything's running smoothly and we have good elections.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Jolene Graham, and I do have some things to put in the minutes if you don't mind. These are court cases. The Holderman report. Do you guys know who Holderman is? Pastor Holderman, cybersecurity. His testimony in the Georgia case where the EAC on their website how to break into the machines. They bought them off eBay. That's the testimony talking about how they did it in court, step by step. So it is.
And what was the finding in that case?
The finding is that you're able to break into the machine.
I mean, where's the decision?
I brought the court case.
But you didn't bring the decision.
I brought you the case number, so I figured you were able to look
But,
it up as
so you're
lawyers.
telling me there's a decision where the judge said, this is what,
This
this
is
was broken
testimony.
into. No, I understand the testimony. I've been doing this a long time.
I understand that too.
But what I was asking if you brought the judge's decision, in other words, the judge decided to believe the testimony, or the jury did, or whatever it was, and wrote out a decision saying, here's all the things that went wrong.
Do you have any years that kept this from being in the public eye?
No,
Okay, I just would like
please,
you
you
to
don't,
read this.
I know,
please.
but
And since you can't open it up on email.
I'm interested more in the decision than I am in someone's statement, because believe it or not, people lie under oath.
Is that your
Yes,
job as an
they do.
election official?
To read decisions,
Any
If you
election.
provide them-
No, we're bringing concerns to you.
oh no, I got the
machine that can
concern.
be bought off eBay, the EAC that certifies our machine, you can put on their website how to break into them.
Right,
Isn't that wrong?
The machines that would be available on eBay are not the machines we will be
How do you
using.
know? We're not controlled by everyone, but machine.
well, we're certainly not gonna go buy them and check
We
them
don't buy
out.
Okay,
things from
well,
eBay.
I just want this to be, since you're not able to open up files, here's documentation, testimony, delete it from your eyes, the things that are going.
I'll
here.
gladly look at it, but I
Thank
was just
you.
asking if you had the decision to
No, I
see it.
don't. Sometimes I don't have access to things that some lawyers have access to. So
Well,
there are the court cases there
That
that are
would be
obsessed.
a public document. the
Well,
decision.
if you can find it, I would be more inclined to read it if you can find it for me. Here's a lawsuit that was just filed to LaRose on where the shouldn't be certified because of the one out of how many? This is just you guys to know. I don't know if you knew this was being filed or not.
But it hasn't been filed, got a case number?
It just came out August 8th.
Well, that's what I mean. Does it say there was a case number?
I'm sure
Or
this
is,
is just important that it was
It's
filed on
going to
it.
happen.
It's going to happen.
All right, so
This
it
is their
hasn't,
statement,
hasn't
okay?
happened yet.
Well,
Okay.
this is just saying, we have problems in Ohio, not just Washington County. I'm saying Ohio. They do dictate our state and federal elections. They're using very corrupt machines in Ohio, not just Washington County. I'm just saying this is happening. Here's a court out of Delaware,
The state,
the state of Delaware case. This is Smartmatic, the one that just got indicted. I'm gonna leave this for you to look at too, but I highlight things, agreeing not to compete against Smartmatic in certain areas of the world in exchange to access to intellectual property. Intellectual property is the thing that we're not allowed to see. When we are using intellectual property from 3 engineers from Smartmatic. Here's this, I'm not gonna take up much of your time, but I'm gonna if this put in the minutes too for you to look over. Here's out of city of Chicago. Another legal stuff that went on. This goes back, way back. So
What's way back?
99, 2000, 2004, of how these companies have been. This is the guy that just got indicted in Florida, turned himself in yesterday, by the way. Trojan horses, you can read about software. Here's something that really caught my eye, since we are not Dominion, we're not this, we're not that, but at one point in time, you can read this. Offerings references for his firm, said Smartmatic, has partnered in the past with Unison. Is that how you say the name of the ones?
Unison.
Unison. Providing security technology. So there's a connection that they do all talk, compare. Here's another one I would like. This is just more information of the ownerships, technology transfers of all these companies. Proprietary software, ones that we're not allowed to see. Another one to enter too about the softwares and stuff. These are just things for you to read. I'm leaving them for you since you can't open files, that's fine. Here's the charge indictments. I'd love to see that when it comes out, but he did turn himself in yesterday. And I'd like to thank you for actually putting these in the minutes to the letter that some of us patriots in Ohio sent to our Attorney General Yost on cybersecurity issues we have. Thank you for bringing that to your minutes. Here's where we asked for the EAC from Frank LaRose. I think I sent you a FOIA request when you passed for the EACs. We did Frank LaRose. We got to run around. We never received their certifications. If you have them, I would love to see them.
You said you had it, right?
I do believe they're here somewhere.
We've
yes.
never received them, even though we've asked all the way up and down for the certifications.
And you should be able to go on the EAC website and see the certifications.
Never received them after FOIA request. Here's a document. Have you guys ever heard the frog encryption?
No.
This is an excellent article by Tori Morris that she wrote about how the software that we do not have access to, the proprietary software that's in all the tabulators, the optical scanners. She's the one that ran for Secretary of State here in Ohio, kind of thing, just letting you know. This is her background. This is in a lot of lawsuits. Exactly who she is, what her expertise are, what she was involved in, flipping other countries. She's a whistleblower. This is her article on how the frog in the keys work in all our systems. This goes to John Brennan and beyond, if you want to read that. Very fascinating. Here's an extra copy for you. So basically, they were never certified. There was never a quorum to certify them. All the documentation's there. They're running through the courts right now. If you want decisions, they're still in the courts running for years. There's enough evidence there to show you that we do not have control of our intellectual properties within our optical scanners or our systems. There's so much corruption. Just please look at it and not ignore us. This is our elections too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sorry, I didn't know.
George Ice. This is my first time here, so I just want to go over a few things. You guys, the board, Washington County, you are responsible for administering and conducting the election, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and you guys collaborate with Runback, RBM, and Triad, as is proven by the money that's paid out to them. And
They provide us a service, et cetera, and we pay the bill.
Yeah, you collaborate with them companies, okay? They're all governmental companies, correct?
I'm sorry, what?
They're non-governmental.
What do you mean by that term?
They don't work for the government. They don't take an
Oh,
oath.
they work
Well, they do
for
work
us
for the
and we're the
government.
They take an oath of office or an oath to Ohio. They are paid directly by the state of Ohio.
No, they're paid
Well,
by us.
Probably paid by the county.
They're a contract.
They're contracted.
We
They are a
contract.
contract, but what I'm saying is they're non-governmental. Is that correct?
They're a contractor of
Yeah,
the
I
state
would
of
say they're a
Ohio government.
private company versus a government.
Yeah,
If that's what you're asking, yes.
Okay. Well, now that I know that, right here is in Title 35, 35.01 .054, and it states, no public official that is responsible for administering or conducting an election in the state shall collaborate with or accept or expend money from a non-governmental persons or entities for any costs or activities related to voter registration, voter education, voter identification, get out the vote, absentee voting, election, official recruitment or training, or any other election related purposes other than the following. Here is the following. Here is I will admit this to the record.
Is that the second?
That is right out of the OAC, and that is telling you that you are not allowed to hire any of these people to conduct any of these elections. The board has to do it, and it has to be done by people that the board hires election day to run the election. They have to be paid for by you guys as an employee of the county. So what that's saying is all this has to go, and we got to go back to pay for the ballots and hand recounts.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's about $1 million in elections.
It doesn't matter. That's what you said, you wanted to follow the law.
Well,
That is the law.
I'm glad. Where'd you get your law degree?
I can read
Where I just asked that question, can you answer it for me?
a law. I don't have to go to a law school to understand the law. Excuse me.
I just asked a question. Now you don't want to answer. You're upset with me. I don't answer.
The people's court.
So
Do we need a
what you're
lawyer?
saying is you don't have a law degree, but your reading of this says that we need to change. Is that what you're saying?
It's plain English. It's plain English.
What's your take on it?
I don't know. Haven't read it.
How have you not read it? You are supposed to
I'd
be,
like to probably look at the legislative history on it.
there is no legislative history. It's Title 35. You should know this by heart.
Again, you don't understand the legislative procedure. There's usually history on these sorts of things. They just don't fall out of the
But the
sky.
history is not the law. It's in black and white.
No,
Right there.
actually, it is part of the interpretation of any given statute. That's why I ask about the legislative history.
But we thank you for that, and we'll take it to, we'll consider it, read it, take it to the
And of course,
prosecutor
we
as
share it
well.
with
Prosecutor
our legal
attorney.
advisor, because despite the fact they're got a lot of lawyers on here, none of us practice law when we do this. Our advisor, the prosecutor, tells us what the law is.
The
And
Supreme
we
Court
also were assigned a lawyer by the Secretary of State, although for the most part, they tell us first, go talk to the prosecutor if you have a legal question. So we're going to present that to our prosecutor as a legal question.
The Supreme Court of Ohio had a case, Morris versus LaRose, and in their Supreme Court of Ohio said that LaRose blatantly just ignored the law and nothing was done about it. So he has history of just ignoring the law and changing it whenever he wants.
Well, that could be, I don't know.
Well, collaboration, by the way, is different than contracting. And that they're using the word collaborate, and you said collaborate, but it's actually, we contract with them. We don't collaborate with them, we contract with them. And
Do you know the definition of collaboration?
there's lots of, that's again, part of the history part that we look at. But collaboration is different than contracting. Contracting means we contract them to do something very specific and we design it, supervise it, all that sort of stuff. This says collaborate with and accept or expend money, and this is not what our relationship is with.
Can we have copies of the contracts with all these companies?
They're all available.
The common scene.
Make a note of that.
Yeah.
I mean, what, more and more stuff, I mean, in the last 2 weeks, so much stuff has come up with the corruption of how intertwined all these companies and their intellectual properties, how they're intertwined, Venezuela, China, you name it.
We
It
are,
just came out in the last 2 weeks of the corruption that is coming out on all these voting machines.
we're not attacking any of you people
No.
up here right now. All we want is 100% secure election with no vulnerabilities, no ability to get in. We're not saying it is happening, we're saying it can happen. And that's the problem. It can happen.
And imagine how much more is gonna come out.
Let's talk about this though too. I agree with that. I want as much vulnerability taken out of as possible. but it's impossible to have 100%. Okay, if you have individuals counting ballots, they could be bribed, they could be all this other things. So I'm not saying that to say that we're not worried about vulnerability, but nothing, especially when you're dealing with human beings who are subject to corruption, are also,
Correct.
you know, is
That
not.
is correct. Nothing can be 100%.
This is the master
but-
key that they
Okay.
have, and
So-
they can flip without us even knowing it.
And I'm not saying that against that. I'm just pointing out that when people say that individuals, as long as we have individuals in charge, that it's 100%, it's not 100%, okay? But that is not saying, you know, I'm not saying that we're not worried about it.
Yeah,
okay?
and we understand that.
Just please
But
understand
with the
that
hand-
when you say hand count, hand ballots, people, that's not bulletproof. It's worse.
But with the
Okay.
hand count,
Just-
at least you always have a hard record.
We already do.
Always
We have a
know.
hard record of everything.
But you can't sit there and tell me that they can't get into the machines and alter that stuff because you're not a cybersecurity expert, you're not a computer expert, and you don't have access to their source code, which is proprietarily protected, which means you don't have operational control of the system.
I think what she's saying is, and I know what she's saying, is we actually have the physical paper ballots.
We do.
So when you go to the ballot marking machine, folks, okay, so just when you go vote, look at the machine that's printed out, the receipt that's printed out. It says who you voted for.
He said he reads a barcode.
Yeah.
The machine does.
Right, but you can read,
But we
you can
don't.
read the ballot
But-
yourself.
It's a
You can
vulnerability.
read, you could read the ballot yourself. So,
Yeah.
but I'm just, everyone needs to do that. If you're gonna use a ballot marking device, and we encourage you to do that, and it tells you to do that, review it on the screen, review it on your ticket, okay, on the actual ballot that gets printed out. And it says who you voted for. That gets scanned through. Those are kept.
I can't read.
We
barcode.
keep those, okay?
No,
So I'm
no,
not-
we keep the ballot with the names on it.
Yeah,
We keep
we
that
have the
on,
actual
we have the
physical
actual ballot. And the machine doesn't just do the barcode, they also take a picture.
But you're-
Also, if you
you're
want to
reading
use it,
something I can't.
but if you want
No,
to
you
hand
are
mark,
able to
those,
read it.
you're
Yes.
permitted to do that, that's your right.
The
You don't have
We
to
don't
read the
read
barcode, it
barcodes,
prints the
Kevin.
name.
You just said you read the barcode.
He does.
We're
Their
talking-
machine does.
Folks,
We
we're
don't.
talking over everyone. We're not getting anywhere.
So why are you reading the barcodes, and where does that
Well,
information go?
that's what he's saying, the vulnerability is the barcode as opposed to.
That's why we
Read
audit.
And
That's why we audit.
Again, that's why we do have an audit.
Ask for paper ballots and encourage your.
I do
It's
ask
a
for
version
paper
of it.
ballots, but they're not, the number on the paper ballot's not recorded in the poll books when I ask for them. So how do I know that paper ballot I voted on is not replaced with something else? Because there's no information. We used to be able to take that number off that paper ballot, put it on the paper poll books we used to have. Now I'm just handed a paper ballot and I just throw it through machine.
The stub.
And you have a barcode on one, but the paper ballot, you have no
We have the
information
stub.
on.
We have the
You keep
stub.
the stuff in a
Still
big
a sub
bag.
on the paper.
Yeah.
Here's the problem I see is, I don't know, it seems like we're all missing. The main focus is this, we can look at our ballot, see how we voted, make sure it's right, and it disappears as far as we're concerned, as a voter. The barcode is where they tally, once they go into the network, I'm gonna call it, I don't know the terms, but once
It
it's
doesn't go
fed
into
into.
any network.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't go into a
Well, into the
network.
machine.
It goes into the
No
machine,
machine.
the machine records it,
Right,
and then we take that information, and that gives us our tallies. It never
We'll
goes
also
into
see-
any like magical network that floats around.
The optical
We also tell
scanners
poll
is-
workers to look at the number at the at the ballot or at the OVO where we put the ballots in. We ask them to make sure that the voter sees that that number changed. So they were the
When you
55th voter
scan
of
your
the day.
ballot, it goes up by one.
The optical scanners, the OV, whatever you want to call them, tabulators, they all have proprietary software in them. The ones that we do not get to see the source code of, which is being fought in courts to see it. In that article,
Use with that source
Why
code
aren't
information.
you're
if you
not
have it.
comforted by our audit?
we're not controlled with our elections. We're being interfered with other countries at this
No.
point.
We you're not comforted by our audits. I think I'm getting to that.
The whole process.
You,
The
no, no.
tabulator
I
started
just, I
in
wanna
2004
I just
here
wanna
in
start with the
Ohio.
audit. what is it that you think we're cheating on when we tell you that we go through and randomly select precincts?
I am not.
They're not-
confusing
they're not
you.
done in
We're not
advance.
confusing this board, you people.
No, what you're not understanding, this is state of Ohio. They're not using what we're using, right? You say ours is the safest when I listen to the other two.
I think everybody supposedly does an audit. Obviously, I
We're
don't go
working
to
with
the other
Dominion.
counties and do
And
the audits,
Smartmatic
but
throughout Ohio
do
that
the
are
audit.
corrupted.
yeah, but are you, I just want to make sure I understand. Are you thinking that we're cheating?
No.
I did not
I'm
know.
saying you guys-
Okay.
Not
All right.
No.
us here in
Then
this
aren't you
county,
at
no.
least comforted by the fact that in all the years we've done an audit, that whatever we reported at the end and said, Joe Favit's got this number and Harry Isles got this number, so Joe won. He had more votes. And we went through and picked out certain precincts that had that number. And we looked at the name. We looked at the actual physical name, not a barcode, because we can't read it. We read the name. We marked it down. We then go back to our original, what we reported, and it's the very same number, not off by one. They're 100% accurate. And we do it election after election after election. We don't hold one election that doesn't have that audit. And that audit is our eyeballs looking at a name, marking it down, and when we get done counting them all up, lo and behold, we're at 100%. And I, in full disclosure, told you about the one incident. Since 2007, we were off by one. And we found the ballot and believe we had found the problem. So since 2007, whether we've had never have one, 2 elections, 3 elections, 4 elections, whatever that number is, they're always audited. And our numbers have always been 100%. Because we wouldn't be, frankly, we don't have to be 100%. There's, the Secretary of State says, if you're such and such.
Yeah, it's in the report.
We're not interested in that. We want 100%. We'd go doggedly look if there was a problem.
I'm sure the 3 counties, including Hawking, has the insurance company against FODRAP, which owns part of the equipment, or has his hand in it, or his family does. I'm concerned with CrowdStrike, whether it's your security.
I understand there are all kind of vulnerabilities. We're constantly, again.
I'm concerned with Unison being owned by a Chinese Malaysian billionaire.
And see, I could care less. I could care less I might.
But this is our
I'm just
tax
of the
money
opinion
that's
that
being
that
paid to
doesn't
these
matter
countries.
much to me. If the equipment that we have bought, the equipment that we've used, RBM that we've had a relationship with for, good grief, I probably didn't have any more hair and I doubt that it was darker, but it's been a long time. We were the first county in Ohio to hire RBM, and they came in originally as servicing equipment that we had bought from ES&S. And so over the years, we've used ES&S, and when the latest request was, the Secretary of State told us it was time to get new equipment. We had, I think, at least 4 companies come in, probably 3 or 4 times, and give us a presentation on how their equipment worked, et cetera. And we knew we were going to be spending a ton of money, your money, and so forth for this equipment. And in the end, when we got all done, we ended up purchasing the equipment that we've had.
That's right.
We went with, electronic poll books, in part to make your experience go faster.
Which is that gives somebody real-time access.
And again, so they can mess with it. And if you can show me where people are voting 30 times in our election. I'd love to see it, and we'll certainly
It's a
prosecute.
vulnerability.
We have caught, I think, 4 people trying to vote twice. We turn those over to the sheriff for prosecution. That's the sheriff, that's above our pay grade. Our role in the entire thing is to say the sheriff needs to investigate this. And then that becomes something the sheriff and the prosecutor work out. Because we do catch people that vote twice or try to.
How many of these absentee ballots do you email out?
Last election, we emailed 0. We've only probably emailed a ballot a couple times to people that have requested them.
Again, part of this has to do with folks who are handicapped. And they want to be treated just as you would. That is, they don't want help. They want to do it themselves. And they have convinced the legislature that this is the system that's going to be used, and the Secretary of State put together the final system. And so we follow that rule for people who are handicapped that would like to get their own ballot and take care of it.
Why do you guys push moving so many polling places all the time? It seems like all the time, you read through the minutes, you're changing polling places.
Yeah, well, part of that has to do with, again, we ask our citizens, poll workers, to give us a long day. And in some of the places that we've had, air conditioning wasn't available. And so we were doing them when we figured it was going to be very warm, so we moved to a different place. We thought we sort of settled on, we really like schools. I mean, we have looked at schools since, good grief, Peggy, you would have been a director, deputy director. We were looking at schools. The county commissioners were very interested in our using schools and so forth. So we looked into it. Warren has just presented a problem because of, again, ADA consideration for people who are handicapped. So we're now going back, having jostled back and forth. We're going to be back at Lighthouse Baptist Church for the election and so forth.
Doesn't that kind of disenfranchise the voter?
No, I don't think,
Lowell, didn't they stand in a bunch of petitions, wanting the polling place put back?
They did,
What, a
and we
couple
looked
hundred?
at their school, and we would essentially, they'd had to close school in order to use the school. We didn't think their fire department was going to work out the volunteer fire department building. It is difficult to find buildings in Washington County. I will just tell you, all of the board members, we've traveled around, we've looked at private buildings, we've looked at other places. The other thing we were doing, again, trying to be good stewards of the money that we're given, is that we have to buy this equipment, we have to buy new equipment periodically, et cetera. So if we can combine some areas, we can save on the amount of equipment, because you have to have redundancy in equipment. Like you always have to have 2 scanners, because if the one scanner you have breaks, and we're a large county, and so it can be a long drive, and to try to get another piece of equipment and so forth. Or we could spend a lot of money on people that have vans and so forth we rent, and have drivers that sit somewhere with a bunch of equipment, and when something breaks, run and take care of it. We just found it was easier to send 2 scanners or whatever the case may be. And again, trying to be good stewards of the money that we've been given. And I know you think we spend a lot on these companies and so forth, but it's a fact of life. We share this with the county commissioners. We don't hide anything. We tell them what our contract services numbers are going to be. We have always tried to stay under budget. We don't just spend money like, oh, hey, we got to spare this, let's go buy a bunch of these or whatever, so that we spend our money. That's right, we return money to the county.
That's great.
So we-
Paper ballots don't require redundancy, nor do they require.
No, but they require an incredible amount of people to count them. And the reason I mentioned the dangling Chad was simply the entire question of, is that a vote for or not?
Then that was Todd Raps.
And I'm just saying the dangling Chad had to do with Rs and Ds having problems because one side or the other got an advantage if the Chad wasn't totally pushed and it was dangling. So therefore, did the voter really want that? Because if the voter really wanted it, there'd have been no Chad.
You know, he ended up selling his used machines, the old machines for novelties.
We don't use those.
I'm just, again,
But the guy that was his problem. He's the one that owns the company.
We don't
Has
use those.
just got foreign ties to it.
So
so
as the money keeps rising with these machines and the software and the license and stuff, if it keeps increasing, will that shut more precincts down?
no, I would hope, I think we've reached I don't want to call it we've reached a good number. Let me put it that
Well,
way.
as a taxpayer, I don't like my funds going to corrupted companies.
And
That's a
I
problem
can
in the state of
understand,
Ohio within the
right.
US.
and if they're convicted and taken off the list, we're not going to use them.
Well, that's
But there have been a
3/4.
ton of accusations. I mean, somebody apparently accused Dominion of something and
But you always see the
they got
connections and all that material I gave
they
you.
got what I considered a
Well-
pretty substantial
Dominion was
verdict,
Smartmatic.
against whoever was making the claims they made. And I certainly wouldn't want to have paid that bill, and I wouldn't want to have been the lawyer on that side that lost that case.
There's a lot of documents there
So-
that really paints us in a bad picture.
Well, I don't know if it paints us or what it does.
We're just
No,
one
it's not
county.
So I'll you read,
It's
but
not
I
about our
promise
county,
you,
it's about our
Lord willing, the
state.
creek doesn't rise. I will look through all of it. Moving on, Peggy, I think did you have a comment? or-
No, Peggy Byers Marietta.
Thank you, sir.
Concerned citizen.
Okay,
Dana Wilson, Mark.
okay. Well, thanks for the comments. I hope you don't think that we're not angry with anybody and I'm willing to look into it. I just have to tell you, I have a comfort level with where we're at and what we do. And I appreciate your concerns, and it may change my comfort level. But again, one of the things I'm comforted with is the fact that every time we do an audit, those numbers come out the same.
That's all you want to keep talking about. We do the audit. There's so many other parts in this that could be affected.
But at the end of the day,
The audit tells
the
us.
audit is the thing that says the machines are counting it correctly, and what we report on election night, which is the unofficial results. And then we report the official results when we get through going through provisionals and the absentee ballots that came that we can accept, and we open and we run those all through and we get the official count. At the end of the day, that's the election. And every time we've done an audit, it says that our numbers are 100% accurate the way the voter wanted it voted.
What's the reason for the unofficial?
It's just the nature of how the legislature said that you're going to have an unofficial because they're in a presidential election, we'll have maybe 1,000 provisional ballots. Those are people that for some reason have come to vote and their ballot can't be shoved through. They didn't have ID. There's a change in names. They're moved. They've done this. They've done that. There are many reasons we can accept them ultimately, but there are reasons we can't accept them. They were never registered. Now, as a result of their provisional ballot, they're a registered voter. But we get those, and then absentee ballots are still coming in the mail. And when they're coming through the mail, we have to wait, we get them. And there are time limits. We have to get them by a certain date. They have to be stamped, postmarked at a certain time. And we've had difficulty because I think most of you know, if you get stuff sent here, it says Columbus on it. That's because our mail goes from here to Columbus to come back here.
What a great chain of custody.
Well, I'm just telling you how it is.
I got it.
Every now and again, things are, their machine sucks 2 or 3 of them through. We don't get a stamp. They now have a barcode. I know you love it. There's a scanner that the Secretary of State has. We have a liaison. He comes, he scans those for us. That tells us, this ballot was postmarked and put in the mail at an appropriate time, or it was postmarked too late and we can't use it. It's all done and open, you're welcome to come. We don't use people's names. We use numbers instead. We have a corresponding sheet. I just don't like to use your name if your ballot came. Potentially, it would be the only one in a given precinct. And if someone were paying attention, they could tell what was election night and what was the official. It changed by 1 vote for these people. Well, I'd actually be revealing how that person voted if I used their name. So we've had a long history of using either Roman numerals, Arabic numbers, ABC, whatever, so that we can at least protect the voter's identity. But it is available. But I just didn't want to put somebody under scrutiny that it was their best friend, or heaven forbid, it was the wife who didn't vote for her husband or something. We just didn't want to get involved in that.
Have any of you guys ever been hacked? Credit cards, debit cards, anything?
Well, anybody who went to Memorial probably can say they've been hacked.
All hospitals.
So it can happen.
It can happen, but again, our election part ain't hooked up.
It's not in the internet. It's
How
not
On
on
the
the
internet, so it's not gonna be a hack.
No, it's
that way.
not.
When you
How
go
do
to
you send
B&B
results?
to register to vote, how do you get those names from the
We
B&B?
scan, don't we scan and?
No, what was the question?
How do you get the
Sorry.
votes to Columbus?
The BMV.
They're sent electronically, the votes to Columbus or
So it's
something.
electronically.
Right.
Yeah,
Hack.
I'm not
But that's
saying
not-
that, we're
that's
talking
not
about
from-
election results,
Yeah.
the votes, the ballots, that whole
Just
system
the totals,
ain't
that's all.
connected. You can't-
It's on a
any more
special
points.
machine that is not hooked up to the internet,
Right,
that we have to put a specific USB into, that we get from the Secretary of State. We're only allowed to have those results on them. And that's what Mandy and I then go back, and she puts that in, gets the results, and then sends it to the Secretary of State.
I got a couple housekeeping questions on that. That USB, does it stay in this office?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Okay. And secondly, how often do we audit our voter rolls here?
We audit them every day.
Audit the voter rolls, make sure dead people aren't on it and, dumb stuff like that.
Yeah.
all the time,
completed that.
continuous.
So when I worked the 2020 election in Reno precinct, our president now passed away of our Marietta Township, came in to vote. He used his ID, lived in his house for over 20+ years. He had different versions of his name in the poll book. They had to look him up underneath his address. How is that
Now,
possible?
he should have only been listed in there 1 time.
He had different versions of his name.
I would like to have seen that at the time. That should have been reported.
Yeah, that should have been reported by the,
Dan Ritchie came here to clear it up.
I don't remember having him in there more than 1 time.
Because his name went show up, so he brought up his address and they're like, oh, your name is in different
Would you?
versions.
Oh, well, you
don't
mean
have to
the
make a
name in the
record,
poll,
but could you
poll
get
book
that
was
name?
different than his
I
ID.
didn't know his name.
And that
Different
might be
versions of his name.
a different version, not multiple versions, just a different.
Multiple.
Yeah.
So the question is, from
Would
when
you
you
share that
go,
with the
Yeah.
director?
that was whoever was there that, at
Well, you know
Reno,
the person's name?
who was,
Candy,
Candy.
Candy Nelson is the
No, she's
VLM.
But
DVLM. That's
the
the one.
voter was Dan Ritchie, is who.
He's passed away now.
Right, that's who you're referencing.
So
Yeah,
it's
'cause
definitely
I'm
not on the
like,
rolls now.
You've been living here, but that's just one of many weird things I saw when I worked the elections. Another, from the B&B, when you go to register to vote the B&B, how do you get those names?
They give us a paper form
Paper
that the
form?
voter signs, and it also does come electronically.
Because they were just shut down by CrowdStrike here in Ohio.
Right, I know they were affected.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We've got to move on to minutes and so forth. We have those.
Yeah, the corrected
Right.
version, and, if you'd like to sign that.
If you guys have discussion on this stuff, we'd like to have that included into the minutes, so.
It will be, I can't, everything that was said, I don't do shorthand. So, my suggestion is we are taping these live. Anybody that wants to specifically find out the discussion, I'm going to refer them to that, or we have a recording of it. I can't put it all in the minutes.
Okay, but
myself.
you want to check with the prosecuting attorney about attaching all that
To
stuff.
see if we can add the.
Yeah,
All
we
those
have it down.
documents will go to the prosecutor.
No,
Well, we're gonna ask.
they're gonna,
If
we're gonna ask the one that George
We're gonna
provided.
ask our attorney about incorporating those into our minutes,
Okay,
all of them.
and you guys will take time to read this because we are concerned citizens of Ohio, not just for Washington County, but the rest of the state dictating our state and federal elections through these machines.
I will say for myself, as I have read everything else, I will read it all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We didn't read, I'm not going to no comment. Appreciate all you guys.
Can I have a
I know
second?
you got a lot.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, passed.
Dennis, I'm sorry, sir, go ahead.
He was trying to say one more thing.
Oh, and you're welcome to stay. You don't.
Thank you. I just wanted to
Thanks,
bring,
Ted.
you guys, how much we appreciate your hard work. We are concerned. We're all scared to death of things that's going on out there. We would just want you to be as concerned as we are and make sure that you pay attention to what's happening around us. Not just, we trust you that your audits are fair and good, but just get involved in what's going on. Make sure the whole state is as secure as we are here.
But you know, if your
We're
husband,
just bringing your attention to what's really scaring us.
if your husband would have lied twice about who put the machines in the county, I would have never looked into
Excuse me?
this. He lied to us
No,
twice.
I don't think you
He's-
did, nor is this the right time or place for you to be making accusations. How about you call him and tell him that to his face?
Well, he was asked who puts the machines in there, he said. well,
You
work
heard
the
me.
state. Gotcha.
Right. Bill.
I'm sorry, the minutes, I didn't catch that.
Oh, I'm
Second.
sorry.
Moved.
Sydney.
Moved,
And Robin
Robin
seconded.
seconded, it passed.
Okay.
Make sure Matt's covering this hearing.
Yeah.
Look, I
Okay.
have a hearing, what can we do this?
Bill.
Well, I'm just curious about, we keep using these dates.
on the last, agenda that I think Karen had. That was for mostly for the, March election. There was one amount for coding, that was for the June, or for this May one.
It just says service days. It doesn't say the actual days.
Yeah, it was, most of that money was for March, and then there was only a small amount that was for the June. So this is the full amount for the June that's on this.
Well, it's the same number.
Right, ends up being the same amount.
Sorry, guys.
So we're paying it twice instead of.
We haven't gotten it.
No.
We haven't gotten it.
Yeah,
Well, we're paying it twice, once for the March election and then once for the June election.
so we are paying.
So technically, yeah, and it worked out to be. So you can see it. Like this. Yeah, I have printed out the itemized part of it.
No, he didn't miss anything.
Yeah,
That's the coming in.
you can see it. It's a shorthand system that's being used when we use these numbers here.
Oh, so there's
Those are
multiple
the
days.
actual dates of all the different services.
So most of it was, well, about half May, half
Yeah.
June.
Right.
Right.
But the ones that were in May were for the June election.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I hadn't even noticed that it was the same.
It's actually 12 and a half days of worth of work,
Right,
not 2 days.
right,
Right.
right.
But I'm still curious about it being the exact same amount.
Just trying to save amount per day.
Let me get, I could get the
May
the
one?
bill from, yeah, from.
Why don't we do
or the-
March?
Yeah,
The first, the one that's up here.
Yeah.
This isn't in our packet, right?
No, I'm showing you this. This is
Isn't that too, though?
Well, that just says,
That kind of shows our.
that shows who we contract with.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, well, this is just a specific bill from IBM.
This is just RBM.
Yeah, so it shows that
They're always the same.
12.5.
Oh, they are?
I hate to say
It
always,
seems
but
odd.
yeah, generally speaking, there are always 3 days for election support, 2 days for audits, and
Okay.
they always seem to add up to like 12 or 13 days. Yeah, it's all, yeah. Unless there's a special instance where it's so longer. So that's why you're seeing exactly, almost exactly the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So that's just what.
one way to look at it is that it's not, inflation's not hitting us between the two elections.
At least not between two elections.
Yeah,
12.5.
so there's a comfort level there, so that's
Yeah.
that's the one. All right, I'll keep that
That was
occupied.
Okay.
That's probably the one for this,
No, it is the.
This is the current one, and she's gonna go dig out the old one. Was there anything else you saw here?
I think everything else is.
The aardvark, we had to do a service
Better
call.
I was gonna ask what happened.
look at the
Well, my
second one,
battery
the
on my
second
panic
one,
button
budget.
go down and it causes security alarm to kind of flash.
Oh, I see.
So they came in, brought me a new panic button. We now have a handy dandy watch that we can make out of a bracelet. We can wear it,
This is where
So,
people work.
but that's what that was for.
Okay. All right.
I
Well, I
remember when this
haven't-
came into effect, it wasn't until I looked later, is the donation of food to precinct officials and so forth. Because that was a brouhaha. We were thinking that they weren't gonna be able to bring in food.
Right,
Oh, for the hours.
Right.
Back in the day, that
right.
because you could read that to say that if I brought in a crock pot of food, I couldn't give it to anybody else, that I was breaking the law.
Hence the collaboration versus.
It is.
Contract with and hiring
But
somebody to do.
as soon as I finally saw the thing and read the bottom one, I remembered exactly what it had to do with. It had to do with this,
Well,
this,
during COVID, they didn't want them to bring in anything.
right, but I'm just saying but they were concerned about, folks getting and receiving money to do this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
And it began to make a headache about how are you gonna handle people?
Yeah.
And here are the exceptions, by the way. The collection of any fee that's authorized by law.
Right.
That's not included in this, which of course is your contracts.
Well, but also we're not collecting.
No,
So, it says or accept or expend money from.
right.
So we're not taking money from anyone.
Well, we're not collaborating with anybody.
The key is collaborate with, I would like to have Nicole
Just
look at it.
clarify, but I'm sure.
Absolutely, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
Quite sure.
suddenly it's like, oh, I remember that.
All right, I don't have any other questions about the
Did you find
bills. I'll
we haven't
move.
yet, but I know I had to scan all of it in for, because we turned that in for,
All right, well, do I have a motion?
I motion to
the bill?
approve the bills as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, passes.
Oh, the correspondence.
All right, we'll look later.
I know I scanned it in
Todd
because I had to.
kind of cleared it up,
reimburse
is that if it's gonna be the same numbers, it would be the same price. And I was saying,
it. Same number of days.
no
So
inflation.
the state of Ohio
between
is
the
gonna
two
send out
elections, so
absentee
it was a good
ballots to
thing.
everybody. I like that.
All right, correspondence.
All right.
There is a copy of each one of the directives that are for you. We had gotten some petitions for the minor party formation. Those were checked and sent back here.
So so are those on the ballot now? Will they
Yeah.
officially be on the ballot or are they
We have
write-ins?
not heard from the state yet. Well, the minor party, they were certified.
Yeah, the minor
They
parties
can-
were certified.
That's
Okay.
recognized as a certified.
What about
party.
these other party, non-party candidates?
Those, we just checked those petitions, and so we haven't sent our certification in yet. So waiting to see if we get any from another county.
I don't have 13.
I don't have 13 either.
Oh, maybe I didn't copy.
Are you sure? This is 2024-17.
Yeah.
I see 15, yeah, we don't have a 13.
Oh, yeah, no, we don't. You're right. You're right.
We can get you a copy.
Okay.
Um,
But these other parties in Directive 17, are they gonna appear in the ballot this way or?
we don't know for sure yet. That
The
hasn't
state of
been
Ohio
certified
hasn't
to
told
us.
us that
Yeah,
yet?
but- well, because the counties don't have to turn in their certification forms till the 19th. So we won't know till after that. Till all the counties turn in their certification.
So they're waiting for the certification to see
Yeah.
whether or not these folks.
To see if they had
qualify.
enough signatures.
I see.
Yeah. So each county has.
But assuming they do, will they actually all appear on the ballot?
Yeah, if they have,
Okay.
yeah, if they.
They're not write-ins, they're
No,
they're
the
actually
names
on
will
the
be
ballot.
on the-
Okay. All right.
Huge.
Well, that's gonna be a long
Forgot your.
That's gonna be a two-pager for
And
sure.
there's still a chance for write-in. I think the deadline's the 26th for that. So
Oh,
there
yeah.
still is a chance.
So it's gonna be a long
possible
ballot.
For write-in. Well, there'll just be one spot for write-in.
And we can start, Matt, or, first off, I don't know if you knew, Ryan had a dissection,
Oh.
An aortic dissection.
Yeah.
Really?
aortic
Wow.
Is
dissection.
that an emergency?
Yes.
Very much so, yes.
And he's okay.
Yeah, right now he is, and he's lucky he was in Omaha when it happened. Because if he would have been if he would have been in Columbus, he would have been okay.
Yeah, if you would have been
in a
here,
Small county,
we'd have had the life lighting.
he drove himself in, he wasn't feeling good, drove himself in about 9 o'clock on Friday morning, a couple weeks ago. And had a hard time getting from his car inside. They immediately said, you got a huge problem, and they started operating on him at noon.
Wow.
And they finished at 2:30 in the morning.
Mm.
So he was in ICU until about 3 days ago. So that's about 18 days in ICU, and they put a pacemaker in, and he's doing better. He's plugging away, but he's got a ways to go here.
So what did they do?
They did an aortic dissection
Just what?
with, yeah, you're a little over my.
I have had a couple cases. I mean, it is an emergent thing. I mean, it is what they would call something, if you do not catch it, it will kill you.
Yeah.
Sometimes folks never make it to the hospital, it happens. So it depends on where it is, you know, your aorta just simply rips open. It'll dissect, or there'll be a tear, and then it'll start to bulge and the blood starts, so.
It doesn't go to your heart.
It cuts from the inside and it opens. And they can tell through a CT scan of a bulge in your aorta. They have to crack your chest immediately, do open heart surgery and fix it. And it depends on where it is, if it's in the ascending or descending part of your heart. It can also happen in other parts of your body too. But if it's by your heart, I mean,
Melissa's father-in-law
Major-
passed away from
A major emergency, and he was.
and yeah, you have to have a cardiothoracic surgeon right there, or life flight you, and hopefully you survive.
And luckily, he went to the med center, which is a premier place.
Yeah,
And-
Omaha's premier hospital.
And outside of being there, I think he would have even been in trouble, almost in a regular hospital, because the level of surgeon had to be right up there.
Yes.
I can't imagine a 14-hour surgery.
So anyway, so RVM has been wonderful. Todd immediately called us and Janet and said, listen, we know Ryan's your big support, but we're going to figure it out. Matt and Darren were in here last week, and did some maintenance on our machines.
They did the preventive maintenance.
Yeah, they did the preventive maintenance. I think we're gonna have Darren's brother here on election night.
That's what he
Who they're
said.
contracting with. He is a huge IT person, knows, so we're going to use him. Mike is doing our coding. He says he's gonna go ahead and start what we know right now. And then he'll be here September 10th to do the code, is that?
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
That
Or maybe that's our LNA. That might be our LNA, September 10th. But anyway, so appreciate RBM. very much from coming together because when, you know, Ryan does so much for us
For the Ohio.
and for Ohio, so,
And the only trouble you have with a guy like Ryan, he does a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff that ends up in his head. And it's supposed on a sheet of paper.
yes.
So, and we will need a little bit of direction still. If you're seeing something that we're not doing or hasn't been handled properly, we need you to make sure you holler at us. And let us know. Don't just say, oh, because Ryan's not here, it's okay. Make sure you let us know.
We're gonna miss all the packets that he provides for us.
Yeah, I'm sure.
This is this, I mean, his mind is unbelievable, but yes, so.
The one directive there, that's the removal of non-citizen records. Washington County did not have any non-citizen.
Oh, we don't have a.
They let us know we didn't have any of those, so we didn't have to remove anyone. And then,
And the petitions, have we done all that?
yeah, we've checked the petitions. We haven't sent in our certification forms yet because I like to wait a little bit to see if any other counties accidentally got ours. So,
Yeah.
because sometimes that happens. But so far we haven't heard from anyone, so it's never pretty good.
And I'll be honest with some of those, most of them were one or two signatures
I was
on
gonna
them.
say,
on
with
each
a lot,
page.
And
I
one,
think the most
it just was, you could tell it was completely fake. It was a miss, not even a street we have in Washington County. So. Get up there.
Do it.
It's like, I don't
Now, I
know.
like your chair, Karen.
Yeah, I don't know, he liked your chair.
Get up there.
But we did wonder about, we had wondered about having, you know, another company, we discussed, you know, mail our absentee ballots for us. So we talked with Todd, that's the first thing. So we wondered about if we wanted to contract with them for the initial mailing of the absentee
On
ballots.
October 8th. Right now, we have what, close to 700?
I put in,
There's 700 requests already?
Yes.
a copy of what our numbers were so far. It's close to 7. It was 6.
And the Secretary of State
650.
after Labor Day is sending every registered voter an Ohio one.
I like
Sending them the application.
Yes, sending the application.
I like
for
that.
ballot.
I like that. Well, I mean,
Yeah, we had.
the more people
The
who do
worst
the
part about it
absentee is
is that
better.
the people that have already completed an application will get.
Probably
duplicates, the
complete that
duplicates, the
application
duplicate.
too.
And see, we have to keep, the girls have to put that into the system. So,
But we had 647 as of when I printed out the.
Wow.
but we figure it'll be close to, what do you think? 1,000 to 1,500?
Oh, no, I think it'll be like close to 8,000, 10,000.
No, that first initial.
Yeah, that's the.
8 to 10,000.
Well, if they send out, if he
Yeah.
sends out, absentee ballots to everybody, we could.
Of the applications.
The applications, we could easily.
So can you tell them, Todd, that whole process so they have an understanding?
Yeah, what we're talking about is, you know, using a mail house to do this. And we would suggest doing it simply for the initial mailing because that's your biggest push. If you do it on a daily basis after that, your numbers don't get high enough to make it feasible, to warrant it.
Right.
And
Makes sense.
and the rules of, you know, of the road here is that you've only got 24 hours to turn them around. So, you know, we would suggest only doing the, you know, the initial mailing. You would send us your file. Prior to sending them out, obviously, we're gonna go through the process and send the files back and forth, make sure that the envelopes are all,
Right.
you know, perfect. We do the mailing for Wood County, Union County, Defiance, Fulton. And I think that's,
Does Delaware?
Delaware uses someone out in Cincinnati. And what this does, it allows you, because that last, when that absentee mailing goes out, you're underwater here as far as if you, especially if you're looking at doing somewhere between 5,000 and 7,000 ballots. It's gonna be all hands on deck. This is just one mechanism to to free up some people's time to make sure that we're making sure that everything else is getting checked and double checked. I think, listening to the folks today, I still don't think they understand that testing was done prior to the election. That audit that you do after is simply to make sure that nothing changed from the start of the election to the end of the election. And we are making sure that any barcode or anything on those ballots is read, was read correctly, never changed. And that's what you do, and that's one thing that the state does a great job of, so.
So, so what will work, we send them the file, and then we can give them the county code that they use at the commissioner's office for our mailings. And you can put that into your system then?
Yeah, and they'll use that for the mailing.
So we'll pay for the
post.
So the county will be able to pay for the postage over there?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I need to find out, maybe I need to go to the commissioners to ask if we can do that.
And we probably wanna,
So
Yeah.
I'll
give them an
I'll call
estimate, like, on how
them later
much.
this.
Well, I mean, they're gonna, at some point, they're gonna pay one
They're gonna
way
pay
or
it one way or the other.
Yeah.
Might as well do
Because we
it.
have
Well,
to mail
and
it.
plus we get a rate cheaper when, from the county.
Right.
Mhm.
Oh, to be sure.
Yeah,
I wanna shrink the cost, but I'm just saying, I think at the end of the day.
because I think that's the best use of our time.
Mhm.
Because
I agree.
obviously October 8th also starts early voting. So if we can just get that initial push out, we can handle the
We can
daily.
handle the daily. When I look back at 2020 to see how many we had per day, and I think the most was maybe 150 on one day.
And we can handle that.
And so we can,
How many
We're
total?
bringing in extra people anyway
Oh, yeah.
during that time period for once the voting starts, yeah.
How many total absentee ballots did we mail out in 2020?
You said, I think it was,
I was gonna say,
Just
I
like
might have
ballpark.
that on
I think you told me yesterday,
the,
Andy.
on our sheet here.
Oh,
Mail absentees, we had 8,892 in 2020.
okay. And is that on this sheet then?
Yeah, it's on the back.
I see it. Yes.
And I would guess at least half of those were that initial push, or probably
More than
more
that.
than 70.
Oh, I'll show you the picture.
And I see,
8,892 total
okay.
For mail, yeah.
and 12,000 in person.
Does it say on there how many provisionals we had?
Yeah.
Yeah, 607.
For
We expect probably close to 800
No,
provisionals.
in 2016, we had 866 provisionals.
But with the new ID law, because some people only vote in the presidential. And they haven't had to have that picture ID. So
Yeah.
we're
we
really going
always-
to hone in on training with the provisionals this time. And we are training everyone.
So this absentee November 2016, is that, do I see the correct 10,180
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one wasn't broken out by,
by mail
yeah,
versus?
mail or in,
Okay.
versus in office.
But still, we had total absentee.
8. Yeah. So we had almost double that
Yeah.
in, 2020, but that was.
I was just curious,
Well,
you know,
2020,
how did
it was
it-
COVID.
COVID, all
how
that
it was, you know, were you able to, did we contract it out in 2020 as well, or were you guys kind of on that? Where you had to
No,
mail?
we did it ourselves in
Yeah,
I mean, it was
2020.
probably,
Yeah, we worked overtime.
okay.
Yeah, we
That's what I'm trying to figure out, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
how hard was it in
Workforce,
2020?
we paid up, well, we use the comp. The
Yeah.
girls get comp the half, but we get comp. And yeah, we were
But
spending
yeah,
a
we
lot of
worked
late nights
overtime. And we
here.
did get a couple other, part-time people to come in and help.
Yeah.
Yeah, help too.
Well, it's that initial launch
Right.
that we want to get out and get them moving, et cetera, because again, the whole issue is there's a shorter turnaround for people sending them back. So
Yeah,
I guess the quicker we get them to
well, and
them.
as I say, if the secretary is sending them
And
out,
for our perspective, the quicker we can get them back in with our processing system starting up, makes thing a little better as far as the crunch that comes at the
yeah,
end.
we're pretty good about that. I mean, people are coming in asking for a ballot. They wanna vote.
Oh, yeah.
They want to get it done.
People are anxious.
Okay.
Well, so,
Okay.
so this service, what's it gonna cost?
Yeah.
It was $1.95 a ballot, or excuse me, a packet, which includes your 3 envelopes. It includes the ballot itself, and it includes the processing. It does not include the mail cost,
Right,
the postage, excuse me.
right. Well, then for my brain, $2,
Yeah, $2.
$2 a cent
Here's where we are right now.
for my math. And so if we had 5,000 numbers relatively,
Did you say $1.95?
$1.95.
If you do 2 times, 5,000,
Right.
that's 10,000.
right?
Yeah.
So it'd be about a 10.
3,900.
What?
I think you calculated wrong.
What did you?
What was it, $1.95?
Well,
Yeah.
I just did it as
Times,
$2.
times 5,000.
2,000.
5,000.
That's 10.
I was doing 2,000.
Yeah,
9,750.
yeah, like I said. 10.
Yeah.
But the commissioners pay for our costs.
Well, but yeah, but
Yeah,
still,
postage,
the issue
so.
is,
Getting the better rate.
I've.
It's gonna help us tremendously here in Halifax.
I mean, it will help us. Now,
At
if you
the,
would
at the
decide not
end
to
of the
do it,
day,
we
we're
will
still working with 4 full-time employees.
We will do it,
Exactly.
yes.
And to be honest, because of those absentee, I mean, we try to make the staff do that.
Well-
I mean, Sheila can do some things, she gets them prepared for us and stuff.
But she's done the envelopes, so
Yeah,
we put the ballots
But we
in.
like to, yeah, Mandy and I will put the ballots in.
There's gonna be a lot of scrutiny with this election, I think. And so I also think it's good that we make sure that the 8 eyes, if you will, of the people who are doing this day in and day out are not overwhelmed with something else. To me, it's a worthwhile expenditure of funds. That would be my perspective. So that there's less likelihood of an oops somewhere along the rest of the chain of work.
Well, and to be honest, you're mailing them from where?
It'll be from Cleveland.
Maybe they'll get there fast. You know, instead of having to go to Columbus and back down here.
I don't know where the Cleveland's
Probably the
mail
same.
goes.
It's probably the
If
same.
it stays in Cleveland or if it goes somewhere.
One
I don't
can
know.
only hope.
Yeah.
Probably goes to Youngstown.
Could be worse.
Well, there was trouble, I think it was in 20, where it was like Toledo's mail went out of state.
They went to Detroit
Yeah, went-
Right.
and then they changed
And
that.
then,
The
yeah, because they were
postmaster
having
changed that.
trouble, so they had to change it,
So anyways, that's.
All right,
it's gonna
well,
help.
then we have this service agreement. Have you looked it over?
Well, and Dan Everson gave us,
Yeah,
Let me
description
ask
of it.
this, and the rest, do we need anything in here?
Well, this is not the one with Todd. This is not the service agreement.
Right.
This is
But,
the,
well, okay, well, whatever agreement. Do
This
we
is the
need
regular-
any kind of a certification or only the people handling this have been vetted by the FBI, et cetera?
No, you don't, but we will want to run it, we do want to have the Secretary of State sign off that you're using a mail house.
Okay.
And then,
I think we are required.
yeah, you're required to do that.
Right,
So they want to make sure that they understand which counties are, which. But they do not check into vetting and all that kind of thing. The mail houses kind of didn't fall into that. Last year, there was a security document that the state sent all the vendors. And that included, they were talking about earlier today, the background checks of all the people that work for you. We had to change protocol on all of our computers and all of our emails, excuse me. So there, a lot of that stuff that we did, but they do not require that of the mail houses.
okay, all right.
I was gonna ask who's gonna stuff, yeah, they stuff them and everything else there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do we want to sign up with RPM for $1.90, whatever?
Five.
$5,
I think so.
yeah. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Thank you.
And if, I just wanted to bring you up to date on a couple of things. There are some new standards from the EAC, which is our governing body, and they are called the 2.0 standards. They've been kind of being changed and it's been kind of a mess so far. But where we are as a company, and Unison is planning on going in for their 2.0 certification probably the middle of next year. And what the 2.0 standards address mostly is security. So one thing of bad news is that your poll workers will all have their own password.
Oh, no. Oh, my gosh.
They will be
When's that coming?
32 characters
For passwords for what?
to turn the machines on and close them down at the end of the day. They're gonna have, they've gone back and forth on alarms with any door that's open on the equipment. They're only gonna have it on one of the doors, which is the thumb drive door. Thank goodness, because otherwise they're loud alarms. And if you were in like the back room here, it would be very loud to be testing and things like that. I'm not real hip on a lot of the standards, but that doesn't, I didn't get to write them, so, and I wasn't asked for my.
And they have to be 32 character?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
That's just the beginning of the day and the end of the day.
Yep.
Okay.
So the VLMs.
The VLM.
Right, but just the VLM, the voting location manager, not all poll workers have to have that.
I guess it would be the.
Well, we better check into that.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is the old redundancy. The BLM gets sick 2 hours in.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure how
Password.
We have to have at least a couple people.
So
Two
you're
people.
gonna have to
Have at least 2 people at each location. with the password.
Gotta have a,
How do you make up a 32 character?
Well, you can electronic, they do it. It's not.
And then it'll generate, it'll just
It'll
generate.
generate.
And you can get your password.
One other change is gonna be the ADA device.
Uh-huh.
The ballot, you'll have the opportunity to have the ballot come back to the voter or not. Because part of the requirement is that a handicapped voter that can't handle the ballot shouldn't have to handle the ballot. So it will go back into the machine, it will go back into a small ballot box. And at that point.
So that'll be
From the
another
freedom
collection
vote?
point. So that'll be another collection point at the end of the day.
From the freedom vote,
Yes, from,
Yeah.
yeah,
Or no,
For the handicap.
just your ADA device.
just the ADA.
Just the ADA one.
Which we don't have a lot of people.
No, we don't. We do not.
And
And they
that's,
still have the option though?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
If you're an ADA and you want your ballot,
Yeah.
you should be able to get it, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're gonna have your choice, but just things like that are gonna be in this change. And,
When does this take effect?
they haven't said, we're going in for the start of our testing, hopefully in May of 25. I would say that it will take at least a year to get through it.
well,
So you're looking at these standards being in equipment that's in probably 27. And then the state, at that point, the state will probably come through and depending on how they feel, they're gonna say, well, we want to adopt these standards and then you'll be buying the equipment at that point.
Great.
great, three
Just to give
years
you a
we
heads
have,
up.
Yeah.
3 years we have before.
Now,
We'll see.
now, please remember that like, you'll still be grandfathered in with your old equipment. So if they said, we'll pay for it, that's one thing. If they said, you're gonna pay for it, you would have the ability to keep the existing equipment for
Until-
the next 10 years.
I see, okay.
But I thought our equipment's we're pretty aged out.
No, you're not.
We're not?
Yeah,
Okay,
You're good. You've got some options is what I'm saying.
okay.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Good.
We have
Yes, thank you very
petitions?
much.
Do we have petitions?
I had the petitions, those ones that are for the people that did, were running as non-party. I have them here if you would like to see them. And then we have issues though.
Well, we have
Got some
certified
issues.
numbers.
Well, the state will certify these.
Well, we certify, we don't, we just look at them, we don't have to certify those?
Yeah, you don't have to.
Oh, okay.
Minutes.
No, it was like, if you wanna look at them,
But we certify the issue, you know.
yeah, you'll have to.
The issues,
Yeah.
Okay.
Jill Stein is running again.
There was one of the candidates, that we didn't get, one of the people that was one of the non-party ones that's in the directive, we didn't get any petitions from. So they didn't collect any in Washington County. Or didn't turn them in anyway to the state.
And you want to start with the issues?
And we have Belpre City Schools is asking for a renewal. This was the same issue they had on the ballot last time that didn't pass. So they're asking for that renewal again.
How much, do you know?
We have to look at it on that. It's an emergency levy renewal.
Yeah,
It's an emergency?
Yeah, it was a renewal of an emergency levy.
825,000 is what they're looking for.
I'm sorry, again?
825,000 is the total. It's
Okay.
I think it comes out to 3-point-something mil.
3.18 mils for each dollar of taxable value, which amounts to $111 on an appraised value of 100,000. This is for a period of 10 years. But again, it's a renewal, so it's not
Of a levy that's already
it's
in
not gonna
place.
increase the tax, it just
Well,
would continue the
Continues
tax.
to.
we get a lot of calls about that because some citizens in Belpre are convinced.
That's
that
why
it is-
that's why the number is put in there,
Mhm.
825, 825,000.
Now for this one, we have not received certification back from the Secretary of State yet for the ballot language.
So we'd be moving to
Yeah,
accept that
pending.
pending the Secretary of State.
Anymore.
Is that gonna be the only one that has that?
No, there's actually
Alright.
several.
You wanna, we could plow through them and then do it at the end.
This next one is for Wesley Township. This is an additional, so this is a new levy. It's for maintaining and operating cemeteries. And it is for 1 mil.
Cemetery.
For 1 mil?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then there's one for Grandview Township. And this is for fire and emergency medical for 2 mil. And this is an additional, so this is a new one as well.
New one, and it's a 2 mil?
2 mil. And then we have for Fearing Township, this is a replacement of a levy they already have on. And it's for fire and emergency medical. And it was for 1 mil.
when you say replace,
Yeah, it's a replacement, so it was basically the same, but a replacement will change based on if your appraised value of your property changes. So the amount you pay for the levy can change. So it's like a renewal, but your amount you pay doesn't.
It allows for an
stay.
increase if your
Right, well, that's
property.
why-
If your property value increases or decreases, if it decreases,
Well-
then you pay less.
They never decrease.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
If you find
Show
it,
me that
sometimes,
property.
I thought,
Yeah.
I've been to Fox City
show
all the
that
time.
property
My
to me,
baby
and
didn't
I'll tell you
house.
there's a bulldozer there.
If your house burned down, maybe, I don't know. Then we have for New Metamorphosis Village, and this is a, additional. And this is for current operating expenses, and it is 2 mil.
Have you received any okays on any of these?
No, not on any of these, we do have.
Yeah, we're gonna
two-
keep them together so we can use the
Okay.
same language.
Yeah, we do have 2 that we got back. on, so
Additional.
these
Right,
ones
so
we've
those
got.
are-
So this is a new levy.
Yeah, that one's new, it's additional.
So all of these will be pending
Secretary of State.
Just the
The
ballot
ones you
language.
have in front of you.
Pending
Yeah.
certification of the actual
Of the
language.
ballot language.
Okay.
All
And
right,
they might, you know.
so if we could have a motion on those,
I'll move that we accept New Madras Village tax, Fearing Township replacement levy, Wesley Township additional levy, Belpre City School District's renewal levy, and Grandview Township additional levy, pending, Secretary of State ballot language.
is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Then we have a couple
All
more.
right, and we did receive the ballot language back from the Secretary of State for the Salem Township. And this is an additional, and it is for maintaining and operating cemeteries. And this one, they approved the ballot language as we sent it to them, so we didn't have to make any adjustments to the ballot language. And then the other one is for the Harmar in New Meadowlarks for a liquor
The
auction.
ever present Harmar.
We did receive back the ballot language, so we changed a couple things, like we had to capitalize something, add a comma.
Is this a liquor option or what is this?
Yeah, liquor option.
Or Sunday sales, what is it, what
Sunday sales and through the week sales, both.
So
Sunday?
that'll probably be as amended.
That one as amended. All right, I move that we accept Salem Township additional levy with the approved ballot language.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
And then the Harmar,
I move to accept the Parmar liquor option new map with the Secretary of State amendments to the language.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes.
oh, here's the petitions, yeah.
And then this large sheet, which we were getting some other numbers off of, is for our ballot order number. For how many paper ballots we want to order.
We just approve the.
Boy, look at all this. Look at all that paper.
So the color,
I know.
at the end, it's kind of in a blue color. It's the
Yeah.
30% paper ballot total order, which is 12,215. It is what I was, would be my suggestion.
Well, that's 30%,
Which, to
right?
get that, I took the column that has 120%, which the state wants us to order 20% more than our highest vote totals from the previous elections. So that's so that would be the 120%. So then I take 30% of that, we'll do it paper, and then the rest of it we'll do in the freedom vote amount, which is the paper rolls for the freedom votes.
Pretty close, just clipping a third. Numbers, the 120.
Yeah.
We had a crowd.
Because the suggestion is 120% of everybody that showed, our biggest number, right?
Yeah, which they're in
Paper.
red across the paper there.
So what are we doing with, I mean, I'm just curious about these precincts that show 0.
They're precincts that we don't have anymore.
Oh, okay, so that's what they are. Okay,
Yes.
I was just wanting to double
Yeah,
check, so
so we had them back in 2008.
that's why they're there. Okay,
Yeah,
so we
well.
eliminated these precincts, okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure we weren't just saying, oh, well, nobody showed up, so we.
So
we need to
we're
look
looking at a ballot order of 12,000.
12,215.
And then I was thinking the 1% directive amount for the FVT paper, that's for the freedom votes, the rolls of paper.
And, okay,
We're gonna have to, we expect to use.
Yes. And I mean, there, you know, would probably be some, I don't think we use every single one of them, we'll have some left over for future.
So explain
elections.
again, it's 20% is what we're required to.
30%.
Yeah, they want us to do, well, the 20% column is, so like. I'm looking at
Just,
The purple.
if you look at the back, like the top one there, Warren Northeast.
yeah, okay.
So they had, in 2020 was the year they had their highest vote, 667. So the 20% of that is 133.
Wait, 667, okay, 20% of the vote total,
Yeah, it
okay.
would be 133. And the amount for the 120, that would be the 667 plus the 133 is 800.
So
So then I'm
What-
taking,
what, the 20% is the increase in the number of voters that we're expecting overall?
that's what the state's requiring us to do, 20% more than our highest.
All right.
In paper.
Yeah,
Okay, so the
So-
20% number gets us to the 120.
Yeah,
That's the
it's the
reason.
total that people show. It's the paper and machine.
It's 120 is the.
Yeah. And there's, I mean, the vast majority of our people are not using paper.
So, but then you're suggesting 30%.
30% of that 120%.
Being paper and not.
Yeah,
Okay.
being a paper ballot that someone can hand mark themselves.
And that's what goes out to.
You're choosing to increase the minimum required paper allotted is 20%. You're choosing to increase it to 30%.
No,
No,
that we're only ordering, instead of ordering 800 ballots, which would be the 20%, if we did all paper, then we need to order at least 800 for that precinct. So I'm saying we only get 30% of that in actual paper ballots,
And so what you say,
because that's what we've normally done.
30%.
maybe we ought to, for clarity's sake, when we say paper ballots, we mean hand marked
Right, hand marked
ballots, not paper, because our RBM or
Everything.
our freedom vote is paper ballot, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about hand marked
Hand marked.
ballots.
Hand-marked.
All of our ballots have a paper trail.
Right.
Right,
The Secretary of State's recommendation is that the total number of people who voted, that we add an additional 20% to that number. And that'll be the amount of
Ballots.
marked ballots, the paper mark, you know, dark anneal.
Right.
So you're gonna have it stacked this high. And everyone's coming in going, no, I use the machine, won't touch any of them until someone says, oh, I want a paper ballot and I'll mark it.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And the number we're proposing is to take that big number and basically go 30%, a third.
Right, and we usually have paper ballots, because this is.
And then you round it up to
the
a
30.
even number because they come in lumps of
They come in
25.
packs of 25, yeah.
Okay.
So we usually do have paper left over, paper ballots blank left over,
always.
that people don't use, but.
I mean, obviously, we're gonna have a lot.
And we have the ability to print more ballots.
On the spot, yeah,
If someone's calling up going, we're running low,
right.
we can print and
We do a few
deliver.
more.
Now, in that case, I would just wanted to let you know that at summer conference, I don't know if we had it at winter or not, but RBM has come up with a print on demand for each polling location, if we were ever interested in that.
Oh, gosh, that sounds
We
like
don't have
adding
enough.
more.
I know,
I'm not
I
sure
think
I
we
like
send
that.
out enough to the,
Yeah,
to the.
Yeah, I don't see any need to do that.
Yeah, I don't.
So do we need a motion to approve this order?
Right,
I think so, you need a motion.
yeah, we need a motion to decide how.
Also move.
And
Just moving for the
we're
30.
meeting the 120 though, like, oh, this for meeting,
Right, yeah,
okay,
we're
yeah,
meeting.
I second.
And that's the 12,215.
Right.
And then
Okay,
you
we
just
have a
order-
motion and seconds or any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, passes.
And I did order, more, the freedom boat paper. So that we'll have plenty of that for.
Yeah, you, from what you look, it looks like you're gonna be ordering enough for 42,000 votes.
Also,
Right, so we'll have plenty.
when Darren and Mike were here last week, they have come up, you know how you're here at 6:30 with us? How we start getting those calls saying that the machines won't come on. They now have, they've made that plug into the machine. They've put like silicone in there, and so this.
So hopefully it won't jiggle loose.
It won't jiggle when
Oh,
it transfers.
okay, good.
So that should alleviate
Some
a
of
lot
that.
of those calls in the morning.
Good. Okay,
All right.
is this the paper with the budget? Is this what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
that's our,
We haven't been reimbursed from June.
I did, let me see, I asked them when we'd be getting. Put my paper once.
The check's in the mail. You didn't bring any.
Well, we have the thing of what you sent in.
Yeah, I have a copy there of what we asked for.
Yeah.
What we sent in. So they said, this was yesterday, the person told me they're going to the controlling board on Monday to request the appropriation in cash to pay the counties back. It takes the accounting section a few days to get everything set up in the system. And then their goal is to get the checks requests sent in by the end of the week. So you have them in hand by the following week.
So the controlling board still has to approve.
Yeah, they have to send
Yeah,
all
it goes
this
to
from all the
them.
counties that were part of it to the controlling board to get it approved.
So we requested a total of
Legislature
43,745.
Yeah.
So we'll have,
You may not.
that will come back to you.
Yeah, so that's, as far as I know, that's what we'll get back. I haven't been told that they questioned anything
All right.
yet. But I do have copies scanned and ready to go to send them of what we think if they have questions.
So how does this compare to our budget?
Well, we are getting pretty low on money.
It's pretty bad, but I mean, I'm just wondering, what was our budget for the year to see how this matches?
Can I find my paper on it? It says over on in the column there, the beginning balance, that's what we had to.
Okay, so that's the budget.
That's our
amount.
budget.
Okay,
That's
all
what
right,
the budget
that's
is.
what I wanted to know. Oh, yeah, okay, so we'll be
I'll
getting,
get my copy of it. It's right in front of me, but I can't see it.
so we'll be getting
And then it has there our
43, so that'll,
It has our months to date, our year to date. Listed there. So.
43.
So
is this there? That's
43, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's 161 is the balance,
But this,
correct?
As of right now.
As of right now.
But the 43 that we're talking about is going to be.
Right.
So we will have 204,895.30.
Now put that in, where are you gonna put that, maybe?
Well, I will probably put it in either, probably both.
Contract services, yeah,
and
that.
advertising and printing. is
Yeah,
where we're
that
gonna
makes
need it.
sense.
But potentially.
Did we use seasonal workers for that?
We did, yes.
So,
They're reimbursed
okay,
in that.
Well, that's part of the 43,000, yeah.
yeah,
Included them. But I am worried we still won't have enough money in the contract services. Cause we're already with the bills we have, negative 25, almost 26,000. In that line item, so cause we did get from RBM the bill that we hadn't been paying, which was still was 60,000. For maintenance, we hadn't been paying, cause that was part of our agreement for where we bought the equipment.
Now we start.
So now we've paid it, so we now have, $60,000 less than what we would normally have at
we didn't
this
put that in
time.
our budget, we must not have put that in our budget.
We should have, but yeah, we did not.
So this, This may,
We need to for next.
So
These
we're not gonna be
contract
turning money
services-
back this year.
these contract services we just hired, or we just voted to approve for RBN, will that come out of contract services or will that come out? of-
Yeah, that's,
Will
well,
that
or
Are we
advertising, the Bailey will be on the
Advertising.
advertising.
Advertising and print.
Yeah,
be, okay,
for the ballots, it'll come out of that.
but we don't have that
Right,
in there.
Till
Are we
we
going
get
to go get
the money
approval?
back from. Well, that's what we need to decide, if we wanna ask the commissioners for more money, how much we wanna do.
I guess my question is, this hiring RBM to do this, are we gonna get reimbursed for it, or is this gonna? Is that on, off of this balance?
That would be, we won't give it any more reimbursement.
Okay.
That's a new,
But we haven't received what was.
That's
We haven't
10 grand.
received for June yet,
And do we know
43,000.
what that number is roughly?
Well, that was what we'll get from, is the 43,
Right,
745.
right, 43.7, okay.
So we need to take $10,000 off of this too,
Right,
for, if we're gonna do the.
Well, but you're
Well-
right, it means that we're not gonna have enough money for contracts, so we're gonna have to ask.
First off, we're gonna receive the 43. The commissioners are.
we might get it as a check, the Secretary of State might send it to us as a check, and then of course we have to deposit it. And
It
Is
should come
that
to
how
us.
it's been done in the past?
We've never had that, we've never had it.
Never gotten
Election like-
anything back?
And not like this, so,
didn't we get reimbursed?
I mean,
for the
we've
August
been
election
reimbursed
last year?
for,
For the August election last year. the special election.
No, that was.
they gave us money up front for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
from-
Yeah, that's how they did that, they gave us
Okay.
money up front.
Well, do you have a list, or or should we be making one? Of what it's gonna cost from this day going forward to the end of the year?
Which I can make up like an estimate.
Well, that's what we're gonna, we're gonna need that in order to figure out what to request from the commissioners, if we need a request, and for what purpose, so if, you know, it looks like, I mean, it looks like we have enough in here for our seasonal workers. Obviously, we have the employees and officials, so that's not it, so the real.
Yeah, I mean, the
The
main
real
thing-
kicker is the contract services
And the advertising.
and the advertising,
Right,
because that's where
I think our
we're,
other line items will be okay.
everything else looks good.
Maybe we should have talked about budget numbers before we talked about the contract with RBM, that's one of the concerns.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I mean,
Right.
but I,
Poll worker expenses, I don't know, I'm gonna,
Well, we have 24 in the balance,
you know,
and we've already done, what, 2 elections with 25.
okay.
So
So you're saying-
we should be fine on poll worker expenses. Seasonal,
Yeah,
we've done 2, and we still have 11 left, so, you know,
We're gonna have more
seasonal.
seasonal this time though,
Well, and that's right, we did 2 elections and spent 14.
yeah.
So we have 1 with 11. So I mean, the kicker is going to be the contract service, but maybe when you factor all that in, I mean, maybe it'll be enough, I don't know.
Yeah, so I'll make up an estimate of.
So you don't wanna approve you want that before you.
Well, how can we, well, yeah,
We-
I don't
because
know what to ask.
we don't know what to ask
What
for.
to do?
And also, go ahead and write out when you're making a list, how much that maintenance contract was that we paid that we didn't factor in, so we can.
Yeah.
Yes, because that makes
Because I know it
sense.
was, yeah, 50
So we
minutes,
can
but put that in.
explain to the
Yes,
commissioners.
that we
this
didn't have
is
that.
Our fault, we didn't do this.
So we can
So
explain what
that's-
happened.
That's a bulk of the.
So is that,
shortfall.
would that be a yearly?
I mean, that's really.
Would that be a yearly cost?
I don't know, is it a yearly cost?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be now, so we'll have to.
So we'll
get
have
into
to build
the-
that into our budget going forward.
They need to know that too.
Yep.
So that was part of so we got them in 19, 20, 21.
Yeah.
23, 24. So that was part of our 6-year agreement, I guess, and then, or 5-year agreement,
Yeah.
and then this is the,
But for the first 5 years. we
Yeah.
would-
yeah.
Yeah, it was included.
And now,
Okay.
I keep telling them, we negotiated the first 5 years, no maintenance
Add
because
that into the, yeah.
that's part of the explanation.
Yeah, when you get those numbers and so forth, maybe you could get them to us. Because at the end of the day, to me, the shorthand method of doing this is the action we've taken today, whatever those expenditures are. We take it to the end of the year, how much are we just gonna pay out to be open, to conduct business?
Right.
And then we take how much we've spent and how much we have left over as of this. And there's gonna be a difference between whatever that big number is to run our business to the end of the year and how much is here. And that difference is basically what we're gonna be asking for.
Yeah. And there's a copy there, just so you can have it too, of what we did spend on contract services. It goes to the back, we just sort of have that. And then we do have the Rundeck contract renewal. They sent us that you have a copy of that. And there is a copy of, we sent it to the prosecuting attorney for them to look over. And there's information from Daniel Everson, which is the assistant prosecuting attorney that's helping us now, with what he, his recommendations or anything on the contract.
Well, I read through that quickly. Did you note anything that said we needed to change any of the terms? It seemed like he was explaining sort of the terms.
He was talking a lot of the.
He didn't like the fact, I think they're all page one. But this is.
Well, this is
I don't
one,
know what he
two,
was talking.
three,
about.
4, 5. This one,
Yeah, because mine's all numbered.
ours are all numbered.
Well, I'm not sure what he was.
Yeah, and I sent him the PDF of it.
Well, our PDF has numbers on them.
Um,
Maybe you saw an earlier one.
The only thing really, that I would wonder, he was talking about the indemnification or at the beginning of his main points, the second one down.
Well, he liked, it seems to me his first two paragraphs are, things are better than expected.
He's right about indemnification. We cannot indemnify
Yeah. we
because
can do that.
of unappropriated funds. That's true.
The service agreement, I mean, that's not.
And we, do buy one of the, in exhibit D, that's equipment list and prices. That has paper fees. We don't buy our paper from RBM, we get it from RBM, not from Rundeck.
Right, so I mean, I don't have seen any problems
So we
with the
won't be-
indemnification,
Um,
so he does it right.
I mean, that's what the fee would be if we
Right.
would order from Rundeck, so we don't want it.
And remind me again, run back.
We use them to print our absentee ballots, the ones that we mail out ourselves. So there are printers, we have one behind Melissa and Emily's desk, and then, one in the IT room that we use to print out our mail outs, or if someone that comes in to vote early wants a paper ballot, we print it from those printers.
Okay.
But they build a PDF, of the ballot that the printer uses to print those. And then it also connects with our Triad software to print the correct ballot for the voter.
I think overall he's fine with it.
Hmm.
I think overall he's fine with it.
Yeah, I didn't know there is he says there's a damages liability. Or a damages limitation of some sort, but as he said, what would our damages be?
But they're identifying us,
Right,
so that's not a
it
problem.
just says, to the Ohio law. It
That's a
does
good thing.
report to disclaim any liability against Runback of any damages of any kind.
What is,
I'm trying to find it. Limitation of paragraph 18, page 6. I don't know what damages we would suffer from an error of theirs, but there is a blanket, they're not liable. They're not-
Well, if we screw up,
Well, it just says,
That's
in
a
no
police-
event shall Runback be liable to us or any third
Yeah.
party for any direct, indirect, incidental, punitive, or consequential damages of any kind whatsoever. That's what he was pointing out. It's just a blanket. We're not gonna pay you any money. That's how I read that.
what is force 16? Major.
It's like war,
Arvo?
like something like war.
Oh,
Force majeure through acts of God type of thing.
okay.
Scott, still in the meeting. What happened there? Well, so. But they, even though it says that, but then in the indemnification, they say they're gonna pay for everything.
I just think these two are, they don't match.
Yeah, but I mean, but then if you read the indemnification, they're gonna hold us harmless from and against all claims. Loss and damages, injuries, blah, 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 caused by them. Hello? Hey, I'm still in the meeting. What's up? Okay. I'll come home here in a bit. All right. Yeah, I will.
The other thing about the identification is it's sole negligence. I point that out too. So the identification is only the sole negligence, so
So
there's no
that's true,
comparative.
that's true, or intentional misconduct.
I don't know.
When do we have to, can they, you guys want to take this home maybe and?
I don't think they gave us the deadline yet, but we want to do it, I mean, as soon as we could.
Yeah,
So next meeting,
What are our other ones? How does this compare to the past contract we had with them?
I could go get it and see.
I mean,
Well, I mean, it'd be interesting to see.
I'm also just, I'm trying to envision for a. It's not often that I'm in the decision-making aspect of a contract, but I mean, there's a risk or a cost benefit analysis here. Like, I'm trying to imagine in what instance would we suffer damage? What instance would we, have we subject to a claim?
Well,
And then,
I mean, it
we'd
would
have to
be,
indemnify us.
it would be something like these folks here.
That's true.
It'd be
Yeah.
something like what these folks are.
Right, so if they screw up and it somehow messes the ballot up, if we would
Right.
somehow be liable for that. Now, but this is saying caused by their sole negligence or intentional misconduct. I don't like that because if we had a comparative issue, then that wipes out indemnification from them
That they wouldn't, yeah. be
and
liable.
then we have a limitation of liability, so we can't have any contribution claim. So
Mhm.
what that means is that we'd be on the hook
For their mistake.
for their mistake, and there's also a third party limitation here, so.
Well, I wonder if this was the same clause that we had in the last.
Yeah, let me go
contract,
see if I can.
because that'd be kind of interesting.
yeah, because it was interesting, Everson seemed to like the indemnification
She did.
paragraph. thinking it was better than what he sees most of the time. I'm trying to figure out when they would make a mistake that wouldn't also be our mistake.
Yeah.
Because you're printing a ballot and you leave Kevin's name off.
Right, based on the information we give Runback. So it's really our mistake that they didn't catch, they were required to catch
Right,
it.
or we don't catch it when, in other words, we're handing out ballots that don't have a candidate on,
Mhm.
Right.
and we should catch that at some
That's on
point.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, we proof those ballots.
even if we, the issue they're saying is, well, you didn't send us the name.
Yeah,
That's your fault, not ours.
No, and so what I often see in indemnification provisions is that which law prevents sole indemnification for our sole negligence. But this is like opposite. It's like it's gotta be 100% of their problem,
I
not
can't
ours.
think of anything that they do without us directing them to do it, which makes it, again, our
Mhm.
fault.
Well, I mean, the way I'm imagining it would be that we request them to do something and then they don't do it.
Well, I guess the only thing, because the whole darken the,
Well, that was exactly what I was just
Yeah,
thinking about,
the oval, but it's been better. They did do something, I think, because it's.
Well, we told them.
Yeah, yeah,
Either fix that or
yeah, we're
You're
gonna
done.
find a new company.
Right, yeah, luckily they fixed the oval. Made it darker.
Mhm.
Oh, that's,
We add that back.
Yeah, then people don't have to circle.
right, circle the name.
So Allison must have made them add that in. So we should add that
That
in.
would take care of it.
Yeah.
Do they still have solar?
Everything else is-
I push back on the sole negligence.
So
Yeah, well,
I would say
here's
to
where
the extent.
This is
of
what
Runback's
Allison-
negligence.
I'm sure Allison probably made them put that in.
Yeah, which I can send that to them.
Yeah.
Ask them if they can.
And then just tell them this what we had last year, or last
The last
contract.
time.
Yeah.
This is what
How
we
often
expect
do we
to
do
get.
these service contracts?
What's that?
How often do we do this service contract?
It's a 5 year, so,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's a 5 year.
And it's interesting, they still have in the discriminatory thing, the Vietnam era.
Yeah.
I don't care about
That's in
that.
the first agreement as well.
Oh, this is-
Well, here's the thing, but they also say they agree to abide by the state.
Right.
So,
Which they
so
could
I don't care. I don't
I
care.
didn't.
It's
I'm not
just, it
gonna-
is an odd product.
It is,
But I
but
thought it
whatever.
was strange,
Yeah.
like, you know.
Why did they take out that?
Exactly.
Well, probably in some state that they operate in, they would have that. That would be my guess.
That's fine.
They're out of Arizona.
Or maybe
So-
they're owned by someone who goes to Vietnam veteran.
Yeah, so we want that language put back in there.
Okay.
Actually, because I know the president. I'm in Arizona.
You did, and you told them to
Okay.
darken our oval.
Okay. So you'll get back to us.
Yeah, then I get back to
you.
you, the one with the.
Yeah.
guy
With the
where they
revisions.
say where they're not doing it.
Right,
I'll let you know.
yeah.
That's part of it.
You should,
Jason here is our cyber security
So
liaison,
if you wanna keep.
and he said he believes that this should be included in any.
so
Well,
the security directive in
broad. This is
2022
broad.
required
I have.
security
I was
supplemental
gonna say I
language
have.
Do you have extras?
contract with an IT aspect. And
Or this is the
so,
old one.
which talks about things
Yeah,
like
so
identity
it's-
protection and software,
Isn't it?
fixing errors.
I think
And
that's the
so
new one.
I'm just throwing that out that hopefully that's mentioned as an
I didn't have
appendix
any copy of the
or
old
should
one.
be.
I think, yeah,
I don't know if it is.
And it may be something to ask them about.
Yeah.
So that makes
Maybe point
sense.
that out.
That makes sense.
What is this one yours?
Must be.
I've got mine.
So I don't think it lists that. Cause it's already got this is software licensure,
I think we need to add it.
so we'll add it.
Yep.
We'll add the security and add the security supplement.
Maybe that's in your-
2022.
It's in your SharePoint folder, I can show you where that.
Okay.
You found that, right?
Yeah.
So that would be exhibit E. So we've already got A through D. So where are we at now?
So the price on this, is this the same? I mean, has it, how much is it?
Yeah,
Increased.
I think it would change a little bit, like on the very back, there is.
Year by year increases.
Yeah, there's an increase. I want to say what we paid now is already the 2,000, what we've been paying. Yeah.
Okay. To be year
That's
over
not
year
too much.
increase of $100 and some odd dollars.
It's not bad at all.
And we have, so far, a large stock of the, Beacon toner that goes with it. That goes with those, so we shouldn't have to purchase. Machine allocation is our next.
So what do we do with run back? Are we gonna table it?
Yeah,
They gotta make changes.
They're gonna make changes.
Appendix A for the security.
Add that.
Add it.
It'll be exhibit E.
Plus-
It'll be exhibit
We're gonna
E.
have to-
But the appendix A, which we are required to secure
For
our
our
contracts
budget.
with vendors.
Separate and apart from trying to figure out how we have to
Exhibit
ask for more money.
E,
Which is
Because we'll have to figure out kind of what a
the appendix
ballpark is
A.
year by year. and then
Okay.
Starting on run back.
Yeah,
appendix A.
So on the machine allocation, are we sending every machine out or are we keeping up 2 bags?
we'll send, we'll
Then we
keep,
are, we are adding.
we'll have some OVOs that we'll have back, because we have 30 of those.
Okay.
So we only send out 2 per, locations, we'll have extras of those.
So we'll have some extras of those.
Freedom votes though, that'll be all of them will be out.
Okay,
And then we'll have, probably at least 2 full books here that we'll keep,
okay.
here, but otherwise everything will be going out.
So we'll be using all our equipment.
Yeah.
Have you heard from any of the Warren folks about the change back to my church?
We did have a couple people called in,
Yeah.
Melissa said she talked to somebody and.
I have yet to
Wasn't-
tell Kyle, I need to tell him.
Yeah, it wasn't anything bad, I mean, it's probably personally, but.
Seen a few things on Facebook.
So do we need to vote for this?
Yeah, the
Yeah, I would say
allocation.
so.
All right, I vote to approve the allocation as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Pass. All right.
But we mentioned, before about, which I know, we're talking about money. Purchasing the new roller supply bags for the polling location, for the supplies that we send to the polling locations.
Yeah, what's
Do
the
we have money for that?
turnaround from order to delivery?
I don't know for sure, but I'd say we'd be able to get them by if we wanted them.
But
we'd be
we
able to get
don't,
them.
where do we have money for that?
Yeah, I
Well,
think we're.
I say we-
That's-
I'd
That's
say
the
we-
next
table
meeting.
that.
is-
Maybe the next meeting we can deal with that.
If
You
you
wanna
wanna
show 'em
throw
again,
that number in.
No, I remember the thing, but right now, we don't have the money.
How much did it say they were a piece?
This is the one that has the prices. And this is the,
$195.
It says-
Well,
that's not, the collapsible one is more, and we don't have to
We
have
have
the
9
collapsible.
locations.
How are they, I mean,
I think those
the
ones
old, what we used for the last
collapsed.
That's
election,
like 2,000.
they're still
2,000
workable, right?
So
Well, how many
it's just gonna be, they're gonna be a lot
One
heavier,
per location or two or
because we have to put in more provisional
2 for
envelopes.
some, 1 for.
Then-
And the balance.
Well, the balance is a totally different bag.
Yeah, we put they'd be in a different bag.
I move,
Well, just keep it on
We gotta wait
Keep it
till we
on
figure out the
the-
money.
What do you guys think? One
Future
person?
business.
One per, yeah, the only, I would only get one smaller one. Cause we already have one smaller one, and we were gonna have, for the 2 largest locations, they would have 2,
So you need 1 extra.
one extra.
So all I'm suggesting is put that in that number. I ask you to run out the end of the year. And
Yeah.
just make it a separate item so we
So
can
we know what the
identify.
deal is, yeah.
Okay.
Cause that would be the only For I would leave the smaller one for the provisionals for the fairgrounds and the lighthouse.
Yeah, right.
Well,
Because
and
that's a lot more stuff that,
I'd like to add, the delivery crew said those great big blue boxes, crates that we have, they're starting to fall apart. And we could probably use a couple of them as well. I don't know their cost.
Well,
They said we could probably go down to American Producers and they may be able to get it for us. I mean, I'd rather buy local if we can.
Yeah.
Well, check it out.
well.
But we
you
can't
can-
spend any money right now.
Yeah, we're not
We
gonna
just
spend
can't spend money, so.
Yeah, but I don't see that until 25.
Yeah, okay.
so.
Because first off, we need to go through all those and discover how much is
Crap.
just junk that if we took them out, some of those places might use a smaller one that's in perfectly good shape.
And then poll worker
Okay,
numbers.
poll worker numbers.
Poll worker numbers, we are up to 116 to date.
What's your goal?
Okay, my goal is between 150 and 170. 150 is my bare minimum. But I'd like to have 175. I'm using 150 as my bare minimum because we have to go 20% over to have them on, So I'm hoping to get at least 175. This is not with youth at the booth because school hasn't started. This is not me going out to the service clubs and talking to them. Speaking of which, I need to get Peggy.
Is the Supreme Court gonna give people CLEs again?
Yes,
I think so.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, attorneys always get it. Real estate agents
Do
get
they
it.
always get it?
We don't know.
You guys don't.
No, I mean us, but I mean,
But yeah, I've, John Stefan, and Anita Newhart, she's writing hers. Rhonda has.
yeah.
So I think we're still good. I mean, 116 in August,
At
I'm
this
happy
time?
with it. I'm happy with
That's
that.
looking good.
We're
Okay.
getting DIMS out of the woodwork, so our message is finally getting out there. We have to train everyone. Training is gonna be my life the first 2 weeks, the 2 weeks before the election. Right now, we're training October 21st through the 24th at a 10, 2, and 6. And then we have 28th and the 29th as other dates in case somebody can't make it that week. So we're gonna do basically 4 to 5 days of 3 classes each. RBM, Mike is gonna come and do like the first 2 days. We're gonna pay for him to help with the training. He's gonna do the machines. I'm doing the logistics, the rules, that kind of thing. I would like to incorporate Mike again because I think Mike Weber, because I think he gives a good perspective as a BLM.
Well,
So it's probably gonna be about a 2-hour class.
why do we need, tell me why we need anyone with technical knowledge to come and tell a poll worker about a machine?
That's true.
Our
Why do we
people, like Mike, couldn't explain the same thing.
All they need to know is how to turn it on, turn it off,
Yeah,
add paper, I mean, right?
yeah.
They don't need to know how it works.
I mean, what is it that you're gonna have to teach them that you can't teach them?
Right,
I mean,
think that's
if you
right.
do it every time that there's a foul up and you're on the phone
Yeah.
and you go, here's your problem, turn it off. We're gonna start over, make sure you do this in this order. And lo and behold, it works.
I
'cause
hadn't
they
thought about
didn't-
that, but you're right, Dennis.
they
What
got
is
it
our
wrong.
BM
I'm
add?
trying to figure out why we're bringing in high-powered
What do they
people
add?
I think, I
to tell them what
Curriculum?
we, by now, Lord
What do you mean
knows we ought to
curriculum?
know. We run.
I agree. I can do it. I just like to have them there that like the first 2 times, but if it's, obviously with our costs.
Yeah.
We can,
Let's reduce it.
Mike and I can probably put a curriculum together.
Yeah.
what about from the last
Well, I
election?
mean, you're right.
Well, why
And
is
you
it
also have
bringing
Chad, I mean.
We
that
didn't
stuff?
train in June.
We got-
We
What about
trained
last
in
month?
March. We trained in March.
Yeah.
So is there any difference between what we're doing now
Just
versus
scale.
March?
Well, there's some changes to the PEO manual because, I don't know, you can now get your ID on your Apple Wallet.
Your driver's
your driver's license.
So you.
We
so
cannot
added
use that.
Oh, you
They
can't?
cannot use that. I can get on a plane,
Mhm.
but I cannot vote.
Okay,
So that changes.
maybe supplement what we did in March, we should have that curriculum.
Yeah, we have
Right?
that.
We can just
Mine
supplement
gets a
it.
little. Yeah, I wanna up it up because I can tell people's. The other thing is they like really hands-on and we do need hands-on.
well, I
I
agree
wanna
with
show
that.
them what a jam is like.
Sure,
you know.
no, I agree with that.
So, yeah,
Mike
I
can
mean,
do that.
we can do it.
Mike can do that.
But you know, here's the thing, is that if you had RBM do one day, you can, number one, record it.
Yes,
So the things that he shows, you can record and play that piece.
yes,
And you and Mike can train everything else.
yeah. One day would be good. Or if I go to Meigs County, when they're doing Meigs counties and I can just drive up there.
Yeah, that's
Go to
true.
theirs and not have them come here.
Save us
Support
money.
theirs.
Or Noble County, I don't know if they do. Noble
Yeah,
County,
they
so
don't do
different.
Noble.
What do you mean go to theirs?
They're
They do
PEO
training over
training.
there. And they use.
And hear what RBM says and I can,
Bring it back.
yeah,
Yeah, I just can't think of
okay.
that we don't do.
Well, I will definitely get with Mike and we'll let Todd know that at this point, we don't think we need him for training.
That'll save them too, and Ryan being.
It'll save
Ryan being
us,
out.
right now, that's what I'm looking at.
And it saves us, I think it saves both.
So you've done already all the cancellation, looking at the next thing?
Yeah, the 2024 cancellation process, and I put in there,
You know, this.
copy of the numbers. So we needed 772 keys.
That's who you deleted?
Yeah,
772 people were deleted.
yes, as part of the 2024 cancellation. And so we submit those, numbers and actually in the voters' names.
Well.
Yeah, if he's ill.
Yeah,
Robin,
it's
go.
almost done.
We've got a course.
No, if he's ill, you need to.
Okay,
Yes,
that's not,
you may need a squad.
I don't know.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
It
It to be
is,
okay.
valve replacement is going bad.
Ooh, geez, well, that's the hard thing.
Well, I mean, we're going to Columbus in a week.
Well,
Okay, Willie, come on, buddy.
okay,
Forget that. Yeah.
if you want to catch the rest of it, we're still being live streamed.
Yeah, you can catch them later.
Come on, buddy.
But we do send these names, actually of the voters that are being deleted to the Secretary of State's office. Before they get deleted, and then they let us know if they approve it. If they approve it, then we delete them.
Do we physically go into Evis and make sure that these are the people that need to be deleted?
Triad does that process for us. And they, the way we record every activity of a voter in Triad is they can tell who hasn't had the activity. So then they, make the file for us that we send to the state.
Yeah.
What are these two distinctions down here, NCOA and other?
The NCOA stands for National Change of Address. And so they divided up between that and, so that's ones that the post office thinks have moved, away. And so they've been notified and they never respond back, so then they become deleted after a certain amount of time. And then, the other ones is just voters who just have had no activity. The post office doesn't tell us, give us any information.
But they just, they're not voting.
Haven't voted.
Right, they haven't voted, they haven't signed a petition.
Right.
Any activity at all with us.
Right.
Do they check to see if they're voting or registered in other counties?
No, but that's not as part of this process, because that's already done.
Each county.
We already do a duplicate process
Okay,
that, so if someone moves from here to Athens County, we already catch that in a different
Okay,
process.
And it'll be the same, so if we pass away.
Yeah, so that's already part of the different process, because we
We
get,
get that once a month.
yeah, once a month from the, health department, the state health department, we get a list that we go through.
but surprisingly, a lot of voters' spouses will call in and say, well, his spouse.
And
his spouse.
we do have trouble, if the person here, since we're close to West Virginia, if they pass in West Virginia, sometimes it's a delay of us getting that information. That's the only problem we have. And we also get, the state does this, it's the acronym is STEVE. So we get a STEVE report that's deleted or deceased people too. And sometimes we'll get people out of state on that STEVE report. So but those are all done, yeah, as part of a different process.
And how long does it take for that approval occurs before we start the elections?
Yeah, so the approval's we've already gotten that, we've already
Okay,
deleted the
so,
people.
right.
Yeah, so it's all done.
So to the extent that we might have an application for an absentee ballot from a person who was on the list,
Yeah,
that ballot won't go out.
right. Yeah, because they'd show on our list as deleted, so they'd
Right.
have to re-register.
Right, so it would be caught,
Mhm.
even though I'm thinking of someone who went early and is passed.
Mhm.
And, because that's where some folks would say there's a chance of, I get one for my wife who's passed, and so I send it to, mine and hers.
Yeah.
I never
Yeah,
get
those are-
it because
Because
it would be
sent it.
caught before it gets sent.
Yeah, actually, we did have, because people could send in applications starting in January for this November election. So we did have 2 people who sent them in at the beginning of the year and have since passed away.
Right.
So.
And that-
because we're not gonna
really?
mail- Yeah, so of course, we're not gonna mail ballots for those.
Right.
Sure.
people.
Huh.
Yeah,
And so this is some of these
I know.
72 folk, the folks who haven't voted in several elections.
right.
Right?
It's at
And
least,
so if they were to submit an application, that would obviously,
it would be flagged that
It
they're
would be
not
flagged.
registered
Yep.
and they'd have to.
so if
re-register.
someone who might be inactive for several years decide this is a big election.
Yeah, somebody.
They're
who has-
they're registered.
And that would
We see a lot of those.
Yeah.
And I tell you, we're getting
That
a lot of
provisional
calls.
number
People were
is
asking,
Up for that
the
reason.
news is overwhelmed with it. They're making sure that they are still registered.
Yeah.
And the majority of them still are. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And then the absentee application numbers, we already told you, or we had about 650. Reimbursement for June, we got it
We're
already.
Checks in the mail.
Security directive update.
So that's partially what Jason's here. He's our cyber
Oh, I
liaison with the
know.
Secretary of State. So we've just started our process. So the security directive,
Yeah.
we haven't got too far on that
One
yet.
suggestion, when it's a big election year, let's do cybersecurity updates the year before. Maybe.
I'll let the secretary know.
You're a small office, man, it's like boom, boom, boom. Okay. But yeah, we are currently working on that. The EAP plan, we did the emergency or elections administration plan. We did submit, they sent it back. We have to make a table of contents. So I'm trying to learn how to make a table of contents.
Or it's
on the- Or table of organization, organizational chart.
Yeah.
Organizational chart, excuse me. So
Should be easy. We have 6 people.
I know that, but
You
it
can probably
won't draw
find
the
a template.
lines on the computer.
You could probably find a template.
There is tons of
On
templates, but
the
not
Word.
for 4 up here. I have the commissioners, because aren't the commissioners over you? Are they commissioners? Be Board of Elections?
They provide us
fund.
with
They
money.
fund, I mean, but that's
But you're-
different for every office.
Okay, so
County.
we're not, I shouldn't put the commissioners on there.
No,
So it'd be you 4, us 2, and then those 2.
There you go.
And then we can put coworkers.
Well, I'm using Canva, if you guys ever use that.
use it.
Okay, I need a
Want me to do
tutorial.
it?
Yes,
Just
yes.
send me the
Take-
names.
Okay.
You can do it in 5 minutes.
And then there's something else we had to update, that we don't have a communications plan. Which I understand a board member told me at the last conference that we will have a communications plan, so I need to start working on that. We have to put that in there.
Have you asked about other counties that have put one together?
Yes, I did talk to Union County, Brandon, the director there. One of the things we learned at summer conference was that we should be meeting with EMA folks, sheriff's department, the two city police departments. And some other people, but anyways, they want to just kind of do a dry run, so to speak, of what would happen if we had an emergency here on election day. So that would also incorporate Roger Wright. So I'd like a board member or two to come if at all possible.
Didn't we already have this discussion last meeting?
Yeah,
Putting together a plan or a meeting date?
I don't think we had a meeting date. So anyways, I'm working on that. I'm hoping to have that. I don't think I can get it done in August, so it'll be the 1st of September. And I think that's probably a good time. Usually after Labor Day, more people are focused in on what's going on, so. But I will let you guys know when I set that up. We also got the Marks radios. And
We have not received.
We have not
ours yet,
received
but
Let's get a bell for the.
Karen, do you have?
I got those, yes, I will, yes. I think he's still in the hospital, they just gave us the hospital address, so I'll text it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sent him a card last week.
Okay.
His father has taken his phone
Away from it?
away from him and it's turned off.
Okay.
So I know a lot of people have been wanting to text him, but I have a feeling his father hasn't given it back to him.
Well, that's probably a good thing.